Welcome, students, as we prepare for another episode of DC Graduates. I am one of your teachers, your doctor recommended dose of nerdiness, aka your nerd today, Carlos Rodriguez. And as always, I'm joined by my teacher in arms, Sly. Sly, how are you today?
I'm excellent. Thanks for asking. I'm so incredibly excited to talk about
The one
these
I've been waiting
two
for, man.
movies we're covering today. And of course, we had to bring in the Red Hood helmet crafter himself, the one and only Frank.
I
Oh,
have
you
it right
brought
here
it.
There
too.
it is.
It's right here. Yeah,
That's so cool.
Incredible. Oh,
yeah,
so fucking cool.
So
yeah.
fucking cool.
I'm so excited, honestly. Under the Red Hood is a very big DCAU movie for me, especially because it kind of revitalized my love for comic books. But we'll talk about that when we get there. And I'm very excited to talk about this movie.
In it, what's your history with this character, with this movie?
I randomly back like years ago, I just like found the movie, right? Like I think I was just pirating movies one day and I just said, "Hey, Under the Red Hood, let's check it out." And it kind of I wasn't really comic book at the time. Like I used to read comic books all the time, but I wasn't like, "Oh, I'm going to go to the comic book shop, pick one up," you know what I mean, stuff like that yet. And I watched Under the Red Hood, and I immediately needed to know more about this character. I needed to know a lot more about Jason Todd, about the Bat family, and stuff like that. So after watching this movie, I went straight to a comic book shop and I just started buying comics again. Both Batman, Deathstroke, anything I can kind of find on any of these characters and stuff like that. But this movie definitely was just like one of those like just random finds that I did not expect to be as good as it was. Especially at that time period, because if you saw a lot of like DCAU stuff, at least at the time, some stuff was really good and some stuff was really kind of hit and miss, whereas this one kind of, at least in my eyes, is like basically almost perfect.
Yeah, me and Sly have come off pretty positive on a lot of the movies around this time period, but that's not saying they don't have their faults or anything like that. It is like better to see it like what we're talking like 12, 13, 14 years later after they come out and be like, oh shit, this is actually something here. But like you get something like 2009's Wonder Woman and it's like, is Wonder Woman awesome in this? Yes. Is Steve Trevor one of the worst characters ever written in this? Yes. Wow. Both could be true. Both could be true.
Yeah. And it's even down to the animation too. Because sometimes you would have like the animation be like really, really good. And then it felt like there was no standard yet, and this movie just kind of felt like it went like over the standard. You know what I mean? It was just, oh hey, we're just gonna go all out. We're gonna be as comic accurate as possible. They did omit some stuff, which I can't wait to tell you guys, because some of the some stuff in there I'm kind of glad they changed, because there's one change that I'm still in, like after reading the Under the Red Hood comic book, and then I think there's a prequel comic called Before the Hood, or Before the Red Hood, or something like that kind of like journeys Jason's journey from being in Nanda Parbat to Gotham, and there's some changes there where I'm like, I'm glad you changed that, because some of them were a little weird. Yeah, Lost Days, I think it's called.
Yes, I think you're right.
Yeah. I was like trying to like, but yeah, no, this came out in 2010, and as you were talking about like the consistency in the art style, like we didn't really have like a standard or a consistency in the like DC animated canon until we get to the like DC AMU of it all, which will be our next season. That kicked off around 2013. So it was kind of ahead of the curve, and I think it really set the standard for what we were gonna see in the future of the timeline, and also the future of the show. So
funny enough, this has like a lot of tender love and care. Like Under the Red Hood specifically has a lot of like TLC baked into it. They really took time with it, even so much so that I'll go in here where it's directed by Brandon Vetti, written by Brandon Vetti and Judd Winnick, who was the original writer on Under the Red Hood.
Brandon did the Death in the Family.
Oh, he did Death in the Family. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
that explains it, because you don't got Judd. There's a problem. Yeah, and we'll get to that later.
Death in the Family, a comic book that I guarantee you not everybody read, but knows the ending of.
Yeah, right.
Because I will admit, man, Death in the Family is not a great read in terms of just like story wise until you get to the end of it, like the last like third of it, and you're like, okay, yeah, I can see why people really like this
Yeah,
now.
it was very. It's funny too because I've been following a creator on TikTok which I love a lot, Panda Red. I've sent Sly a bunch
Mhm.
of his. I think you too, Frank. Um, and he's been reading everything Jason Todd related from you know anything, just from straight up jump to like now,
Yeah,
and slowly but surely, and he's getting close to Death in the Family, and he's like, man, Jim Starlin, who's the writer on that book, fucking hates Jason or hates Robin because like
Yeah.
he barely gives him anything to fucking do, and at the very end he like
he's
has
always an asshole.
yeah
He's like insufferably fucking annoying.
yeah, other writers like treat him with like a little bit of respect. He like Jim Starr was like, fuck this kid. I don't like writing for Robin. It was like, what the fuck? Yeah. And then of course, the whole infamous 900 number thing where we killed him,
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, the people.
You
I did.
killed
I had
him.
nothing.
I
I had
had
nothing to do
nothing
with
to
it.
do with
I
that.
Hey,
wasn't
I was
born
a
yet.
baby. I was a baby, all right? I wasn't was that 85, 87? I don't know what year. I was
I don't
barely. I
know.
was an itch.
I can see why though. I after going back and reading those old school like
Yeah.
Jason Todd being in the comic stuff, I could see why people killed him off. Because
Yeah.
they wrote him to be just kind of like the annoying
Yeah.
Robin, right? Whereas Dick was more of the it's weird because like I could see why they did Jason the way they did Jason back in the day, just because
Mhm.
like Dick Grayson was like the poster child, right? He was the leader. He
Yeah.
was everything that Batman wanted his sidekick to be, except like subservient, right? Like he still had that rebellious
Feral
streak to
fucking
him.
child of vengeance. Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Exactly. Like
Everybody's like, Dick's the perfect. That kid was feral.
Yeah, he
he
was,
was,
yeah.
and he had his rebellious streak, but the difference between like him and like the way they wrote Jason is like Dick kind of had his rebellious streak because he was like kind of trained by Batman and he had this kind of like almost like constant watch over him, like this big brother on him, right? Whereas
Mhm.
Jason is feral and rebellious because he truly is a Gothamite, right? Like he
Yeah.
grew up in Gotham and his father being later like revealed to be like, a person who worked for the Penguin and stuff like that. He truly was like a prince of Gotham. So I could see why he had his rebellious streak, but they they kind of wrote him just to be kind of more of a dick. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a
Ironically.
shame. It's a shame. And it isn't it isn't to so many years later when we get it in, the series and in the first initial tease in, Batman Hush of like, oh, are we bringing Jason back? And that's all just a ruse to throw Batman off. But like that had the first inkling they, of like, babe, maybe we could bring him back. Maybe we
Yeah.
could break that unwritten rule. And it was around the same time, funny enough, that
Now
Jason came
nobody
back.
stays dead.
Oh no, God. We even got Uncle Ben back for
Technically,
like
Really
2
don't.
issues, yeah.
he, they even retconned the scene in Hush because
He's there, yeah.
they say it's Clayface, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Like back,
Mhm.
yeah, I haven't read that one in a while, but it's Clayface. But in the Lost Days, it even shows like it was him for like 5 minutes, and then they do a little switch, and then he watches from the distance while like Batman reveals it's Clayface or some shit,
Yeah,
which I thought was pretty cool, I guess.
yeah. Yeah, shout out to Judd Winnick for like, making gold with what he was given, but like he was tasked with breaking the unwritten rule that we don't bring back Jason Todd, and they brought back Jason Todd, and it doesn't hit as well as like initially as Ed Brubaker, bringing back Bucky Barnes. No, but
Yeah.
it's still a really good effort, and it's not Judd's fault. You can see so much oversight in DC. Like it's a DC decision to bring Jason back, not a Judd. Hey, I got an idea. Let's bring Jason back. It's like I have a whole plan. It's like, hey, we had this plan. You're a writer. We're gonna make you do it. It's like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna make
Yep.
gold then. Um, but it was cool to see that Judd Winnick was one of the writers in this movie because it shows that he loves Jason as a character, and especially under the Red Hood, it really works. The studio, as always, is WB Animation. It stars Bruce Greenwood, Jensen Ackles, John DiMaggio, MPH, Jason Isaacs, Wade Williams / Nolan North. Is it streaming anywhere?
Northern North only appears in
Like 2 seconds.
Death in the Family.
Yeah, which one? He is who does he voice?
So you would have seen it. He's a cop in one of the sides in the alternate side stories.
No, is he?
Yeah.
Wait, hold on.
I swear he's somebody else too. I'm trying to remember all the
Clark
scenes.
in Death in the Family. I'm pretty sure that's who he was.
Oh yeah, there's a scene, right? Where he like
he is Clark.
He's
yes,
talking.
because
He's playing Clark in Death in the Family. That's what.
Yeah, because Bruce Greenwood is Batman in Young Justice, and Nolan North is Connell and Kal-El in Young Justice as well. So yeah, that makes sense.
Funny enough,
probably in the booth for Young Justice. Like, yo, while you're here, can you do Clark for like 2 minutes? Yeah, I got you.
I only know this because I played like 10-15 minutes of it earlier today. But he's also Superman in Kill the Justice League as well. It sounds so weird on him for some reason, just like how Buffy is, and it's like, oh hey, Nolan North.
Yeah, he does do something special in Young Justice where he sounds very like prim and proper, all this other stuff. And then when he's Connor, he's just like very like angry and just like, he sounds like very much a teenager. It works really well in Young Justice. He most times, as Superman, not so much. Connell, golden. Where's it streaming? Actually, it is streaming on Tubi, which is thank God for Tubi. And this is our segment, Frank. I think I've told you this. We say fuck David Zaslav, because why can't I just watch this on Max where you own everything? Now I can watch AEW.
I did watch it on Max for years.
It makes no sense to me why it's not on Max, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
But they took it down because I'm gonna do my host history real quick, but
yeah.
As I mentioned with our last episode, I put these 3 movies in a very specific order because every time I sit down, I usually watch all 3 movies back to back to back. It works, doesn't it? So
it does. It does. I will admit.
Killing Joke, Under the Red Hood, and then Death in the Family, and they all were on Max for a long period of time, so I could just click around on the same app. And now I have the DVD, so it's fine. A win for physical media, but I'm really excited. Yeah, I highly recommend buying the DVD for Death in the Family because we'll talk about the structure of that later. But I fucking adore this movie. When I was doing my kind of reacclimation into DC fandom around high school-ish, where I was really going through and doing a bit of a deep dive on all the DC animated movies, because that was the start of the live action movies were getting pretty bad. This was one that really stood out to me. Both of these, Killing Joke and Under the Red Hood, really stuck with me, and this movie was the reason that I really got into Jason Todd. And we've talked about my love of Jason Todd throughout
your broke
the
white
series,
boys.
But in my head canon, he's not a white boy, but that's another conversation. But yeah, just something about the charm of Jason Todd being this kind of idealistic character, this child with so much hope and so much positivity about the world around him, even though he's seen and experienced all the horrors of it. And then what it means to come back from literal death, and this idea of being betrayed by your parental figures, and how do you respond to the environment you're in, and when hope isn't enough, and Batman's rules aren't the solution, what is the response? And you can see the change he makes on his community because he knows his community. He's not this outsider coming in, and I think there's always just been something so powerful about that when he gets that sort of representation in his stories. And so yeah, I fucking adore this movie so much.
So fucking
yeah. Yeah, Jason's very unique. He's unlike most people in the Bat family. He not only gets his kind of moral compass from the fact that he's trained by the League of Assassins, right? These are people who believe that, from Ra's al Ghul, that the evil should be eradicated, if not culled and controlled, right? The exact opposite of what Batman believes. Either though, if Batman was the leader of the League of Assassins, crime would probably be gone tomorrow, right?
Mhm.
Which, in Ra's al Ghul's eyes, Jason is that kind of surrogate, right? Jason could 100% be the leader of the League of Assassins if he wanted to, because he's as close to being Batman as kind of he has grips on, right? And then you get Jason's kind of moral compass coming from the fact that he is a victim, right? He is a victim of the Joker. He just so happens to be a victim that came back to life, right?
Mhm.
And
Right.
if anybody's seen firsthand the end that that evil can bring, it's Jason, right? And that fuels him to be like this kind of like at least at first psycho killer, right? He's cutting people's hands off, he's putting heads in bags, right?
Yeah.
He's
That's
like
insane.
He's never living down the 8 heads in a fucking duffel bag. What a dramatic ass
Wh-
theater kid move.
yeah, they don't, they say
Wild.
it's hands, they say it's hands in the animated. The animated does a little bit of like it culls it back just a little bit. It kind of makes him a little bit more redeemable, but in the comics, yeah, he's cutting
Straight up
people's heads
heads,
off.
yeah.
Like he is putting heads in bags. Like
It's like
he
the
is
first and only
he's-
time he does it too. He's like, yeah, just one's fun. I got that itch
yeah,
out.
and he's
I proved
losing
my
it,
point.
right? But that's the point, right? Like he's also fighting from the fact that yeah, he came back from the dead, and there's repercussions for that, right? Someone like Ra's al Ghul has done it for years, and it's taken him years to kind of perfect that coming back, and even doing that for years, he's still, you know, every time it comes back to him, he's deluded, right? This is the first time he's ever done it, so his mind is fractured. It is cooked. He was also dead for like a month or two before they brought him back. So
6 months.
yeah,
Yeah, it was like a good
Well,
amount of time.
It depends
Yeah.
on what canonical you're talking about. Let's jump into the plot recap real quick, and then we can get to this conversation.
It's gonna be a good episode. Yeah, I guarantee.
yeah.
Yeah, so Sly, hit us with a plot recap.
You're not gonna make Frank do it?
Oh
for
yeah,
us?
you know I'll do Frank. Yeah, I forgot.
have a
He's our
guest?
guest. That's right.
Here,
We'll
let me
make the
see
guest.
here. Is this in the doc here?
Yes.
Yeah, it'll
Here,
be
let me
the
pull up the
like second section here.
let me pull up the doc here really quick. I just had it up and it closed. But where is it? There we go. DCG. All right. You ready? Plot
Yeah.
recap. Batman faces his ultimate challenge as the mysterious Red Hood takes Gotham City by firestorm. One part vigilante, one part criminal kingpin, Red Hood begins to clean up Gotham with the efficiency of Batman, but without following the same ethical code. Killing is an option, and when the Joker falls in the balance between the two, hard truths are revealed and old wounds are reopened. By Anonymous. Who's Anonymous? Who wrote this?
We don't know.
Unfortunately, we have a
It's
Isn't
not
contributor
that
that
on the back of
typically
the
is on
DVD? It's
there
probably on the
already.
back of the DVD, isn't it?
This is
Or the Blu-ray?
from the IMDb, so it's a fan
okay.
submitted synopsis.
It makes sense, actually.
or
That's
summary,
basically the
but yeah.
gist of it. It's good.
Yeah.
It's good.
Mhm.
It's
That's
like
a
it's
good
on
one.
the
No,
back
it's
of
a
a
better
DVD level like synopsis.
The back of the DVD one was, there's a mystery afoot in Gotham City, and Batman must go toe-to-toe with a mysterious vigilante who goes by the name Red Hood. Subsequently, old wounds reopen, and old once-buried memories come out into the light.
It's
Yeah,
very
but that-
close.
Yeah,
It's very close.
Yeah.
I'll give the point to Anonymous, but yeah, it is close.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
the fan-submitted ones are almost always better.
True, yeah, especially with what's that one guy? He has his email, and it's we've been using, or
Oh,
he's happened to be on
Kenneth or whatever.
Kenneth Cole or some shit.
Yeah.
No, that's a story.
Something. No. I
Anyway,
don't know, but
it's
we
Kenneth,
shouted
yeah.
you out many times in this.
Yeah, you better be watching, motherfucker. There you- All right, Frank, hit us with the comic book characters.
So in this glorious movie, we have Batman, we have Alfred, Nightwing, Jason Todd himself, the Joker, Black Mask, Talia al Ghul, Ra's al Ghul, and Amazo. Amazo was kind of a pull.
Yeah.
I want to say, by the way.
It's a deep cut. At that time, deep cut.
And then in Death in the Family, we do have appearances of Superman, Tim Drake, Two-Face, and Barbara Gordon as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So
there's some good ones in there.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving on, we're going to the Andrea Romano roundup, where we shout out our voice director queen herself, Andrea Romano, who has a vocal cameo in this. But I don't know if you know this, Frank. She's the voice director on Avatar, Young Justice, 2012 TMNT. She's just amazing in general. But so we have a few things I want to touch upon. Let's actually just keep going where I feel like our conversation is going. And I'll start here. What is justice? Debating Batman's way versus Jason. And let's just talk about if it would work if just Batman took just Joker out. He did that infamous line, Jason has at the end, which we'll perform during drama class. But he says it like, I'm not talking about Penguin. I'm not talking about Dent. I'm not talking about Scarecrow. Just him. Mm-hmm. So would that work?
I don't think it will work. I think Bruce is like one wrong step away from absolutely losing his shit and fracturing his mind. Yeah. And he has this very strict code, this autistic motherfucker. And as soon as he broke it, he wouldn't know what to do with himself and he wouldn't be able to function. And so I get why he as a character has this policy. Do I think it's the right policy for the world they live in? No, absolutely not. Somebody needs to take that motherfucker out. It's the same argument we have, not to get political or anything, but it's the same argument we have every time there's a school shooting and the gun legislation. It should have stopped at the first one, right? There shouldn't have been a second one. Yeah. Joker losing his shit, murdering an entire, should have been the last time, right? Take him out. And then he goes on to, terrorize the entire city of Gotham and the Bat family in particular over and over and over again. And I get why Jason's mad that his killer was not properly disposed of.
Yeah, it feels like fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me, fool me 3 or more times situation. That's that Futurama quote. It does feel like that. Frank, what would you think? I think Sly's right to a certain degree. If you I don't think Batman would stop. I think he's really honestly telling Jason the truth. If I do this one, I'm gonna snow. It's like a drug addict. If I just smoke a little bit of weed, I have problems. It's not gonna stop at weed. I'm gonna go right to crack. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's just right there. That's how it feels like. Where weed is not a gateway drug, but for Bruce is I did something.
Gateway murder.
To do everything.
Gateway.
Yeah.
Gateway murder. A little bit of gateway murder.
A little bit of gateway murder.
Yeah. I look. 100% the Joker. In real world terms. If Batman didn't do it, somebody else would have. Let's be honest here. It's kind of weird how Joker kind of fucks over people, even villains, and they don't just put a bullet in them. In real life terms, yes, Batman should have took out Joker a long time ago. In comic book terms, I can see why Bruce hasn't done it. One being that if he could rehabilitate the Joker, then honestly, I feel like he can definitely do it to any other villain in there, and he's almost gotten close with a lot of them, right? Two-Face has gotten pretty close to being rehabilitated more than once. Obviously, Mr. Freeze and a bunch of other characters have gotten really close. Killer Croc, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Killer Croc is actually probably the best case too, because Killer Croc, even to this day in like current canon, is still like not a villain anymore. Like he's become more of like a shoulder to even heroes like Red Arrow and stuff like that, or Arsenal. I mean,
he's his AA sponsor.
He's his AA sponsor, right? Like
right,
you can't get more rehabilitated than that, right? But it in a way, I can see why Bruce doesn't do it, and that's why you need a character like Jason, right? Who is the moral dilemma of, yeah, dude, but if you killed him, like, people would be saved. Like, people would 100% would be. But at the same time, like, you know, the people of Gotham don't need more bloodshed to fix bloodshed, right? Like we've seen time and time again what that kind of future like brings, right? What kind of Batman that brings. We might even see it in it later in this show too as well with Death in the Family.
Mhm.
But we've even seen like a future with Damian without like a moral compass becoming that kind of like Punisher like killer,
Mhm.
walking around just guns toting, shooting people, and how Gotham reacts to that, right? They're seen more as like a another psychopath than a hero, right? And then Batman wants criminals to fear him, but he wants the public to kind of still have a hope, a beacon, like a knight, right? And him just going and shooting the Joker in the fucking face would probably just get people to go, okay, now he's fucking lost it in the long run, at least.
I really like
But
something you said in there about like Joker big, like the example of can they be rehabilitated? It's really giving, not to mention another broken white boy, but the Bucky Barnes quote, like, if he was wrong about you, then he was wrong about me. Like, if Bruce loses that, like, he can be rehabilitated, does that mean nobody can be rehabilitated?
That's a good
great
point.
point.
That's a
and if Bruce
great
kills him,
point.
if Bruce kills him, then it's like, you know, can I fix anybody at this point? You know what I mean? Like what?
Yeah.
Like at this point, are you worth saving or are you worth killing? You know, the dilemma becomes like worse and worse. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And then Joker's
that's his
right,
big like
right?
draw.
He wins, right? Joker wins too.
He wins.
And the Joker wins. That's the
yeah.
other thing too. Yeah.
Like that's what he wants. He wants to break you down to like on a almost like a like chemical level, like morally, spiritually, physically. Like that's like his bread and butter. So like for Bruce to pull that trigger, toe that line, would be like, wow, man, like where we would see it like, all right, it's just one. It was like it wouldn't be though. Again, he would continue to do. He was like, well, I can't fix Dent, and then it would get to the point where like, well, I can't fix Jason, and then that's an issue, and like you have to toe that line with Bruce or face like the circumstances, right? It's like the reverse of Injustice. It would be like the Injustice games. I think it's also interesting when you think about alternate histories, alternate timelines, and things like that. There is a really good book from Sean Murphy. There's a few in the series, but he writes where it's a Joker that's just gotten his ass beat for like the umpteenth time or whatever, and decides to take these like super pills basically to make himself completely sane.
Yeah,
And
White Knight.
White Knight, thank you. Yes.
Batman, Knight, yeah.
I was like, is that the second series? Is that I was like, fuck, is it? It's an amazing series, and because it shows, now a rehabilitated. Man, we're both having a hard time with that fucking word. Like,
Dude, I hate that word. Rehabilitated. It's hard to say on the spot.
Yeah, it shows a Jack Napier who now is sane, and is like, yo, what's the problem, Gotham? Batman, and proves to Gotham that Batman is actually the problem here.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting series. Yeah, I highly recommend anyone read it. Because it is that flip of the script, right? And it gets to the point where Bruce is like, hey yo, fuck, I am the problem.
Maybe I am a little bit of the problem.
Jack's
we
right.
get a little bit of that here with the commentary around like you created the Joker, like you're the reason he exists. Like
you're that's your first
fucking bad of acid.
Yeah, every time you fuck up, this is how bad it gets.
That's the beauty of it, right? That's the beauty of the character of the Red Hood is like it's kind of almost a double entendre of just failure for Bruce, because it's like not only is the Red Hood your first actual real failure, right? Like you failing to save the Red Hood the first time got Joker put in a vat of acid and in turn created your greatest fucking villain, right? And your second greatest failure is not saving Jason. And that birthing again your greatest failure, the Red Hood. Mm-hmm. Like, and
then it keeps going.
It's so
like
good.
Then Barbara's crippled, and then all this other shit that keeps happening because of one early mistake, and it's a domino effect for the rest of his career. It's really interesting to say. Moving on, I want to do a little side thing because we've had this discussion since episode 0 of 1. How You said it earlier, Frank. You said Ra's al Ghul. And then we know in other interpretations it's called Ra's al Ghul. I think in Batman Begins it's Ra's, and there's one person that says Raish.
Mhm.
Where do you fall in line? Sly, where do you fall in line? Is it Ra's or Raish for
Okay.
you?
Where for me,
Yeah.
it's Raish. However, a couple of years ago, I went down the rabbit hole and I was like, I want to know why. Like, what's the difference? Where is this spawning from? And it's a really interesting linguistic thing because, as we know, like a lot of the early comic book writers were Jewish men, right?
Mhm.
Um, and so what came to the conclusion from looking up a bunch of random shit. So don't quote me on this, but theoretically, the spelling of like the RA''S is similar to a word that would be pronounced closer to Raish in Hebrew. But if you're looking at like the Arabic origins of the word, which is theoretically, the inspiration for the character and the name, the Arabic pronunciation would be closer to Raz. So like technically both are correct. I tend to lean more Raish, which is technically like less correct, but it was like more in line with the intention of the people who were writing at this time.
Mhm.
I don't know if that's a valid take or not. Maybe I should be using the more like correct to the world we live in version. I don't know.
Well-
I think your way of thinking is it personally would be the correct way of thinking it, right? The only reason I say that is because the only reason I'm so adamant on calling it Raish is the way Batman Beyond kind of explained it, because they do a thing in Batman Beyond where you have Talia al Ghul, an older Bruce Wayne, and Terry says Ra's al Ghul, like just like that, and then is corrected by Talia to say it's Raish, and then she gives like a reason and everything like that.
Which is interesting because of the twist that happens later on.
Exactly right. But I agree with your way of looking at it. Is like there's probably like a 100% like in world like pronunciation way, but like I like that if the creators or the people who are like doing the comic books give you a reason, then I kind of usually go for that reason. You know what I mean? And I go with what the creator goes with. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for me, I feel like my headcanon is it's both are correct because of Roz being so old. That he blurs the lines
It's just
between
changed throughout time.
yeah
Yeah, it could be different pronunciations too.
yeah, exactly. Like if he's in this land at that time with the land of the Hebrews, it would be Raish, and then he goes back to the land of the Arabics he's from, it's Raz, and he's like, fuck it, at this point it's been it's like we're lucky that we got Vandal Savage being like not having a weird name somehow from all of history, from caveman to like modern day. And somehow he got really lucky with his fucking name being just Vandal
Randall
Savage.
and Savage. Yeah, exactly.
Fucking Vandal Savage. Like, how lucky.
Oh, yeah. I think even certain characters too, like probably pronounce it differently and stuff like that, depending on how well you know the character, right? Because like Deathstroke would probably pronounce it way different than like the Joker, for example, right? Like,
yeah, 100%.
Or Black Mask.
I was thinking too when I heard it as Raish in Batman Begins was the first time I ever heard it that way, or at least that it clicked for me. Because now that you said the Batman Beyond episode, I was like, oh yeah, I just didn't put two and two together. I was more stuck on the twist that happens in that episode specifically.
God.
I was like, what the
Slide,
fuck?
have you ever seen that episode? I don't want to spoil it, like on accident.
I did a brief watch through like the important episodes.
Yeah,
of
for
that
the movie
before
for
we
Return of the
started.
Joker. Yeah,
Is that's the one where Bruce Wayne becomes young in the Batman Beyond universe?
yeah, he goes into
Right.
Lazarus pit. We've refined it so it doesn't make you crazy.
Yeah.
Have you seen? All right,
But
so
I
yeah,
don't want to spoil the end of that
I don't
episode. If you haven't seen it, it's a
No,
really
I
good
would-
episode. It's one of the classic Batman Beyond episodes.
I'm putting not enough together. I would much rather you just spoil it and me being like, does that click?
So Talia's around, and Talia said, "Hey, my father passed away. I'm trying to help. This is fun. There's a reason for this because it's hilarious and does help with a lot of headcanons you have specifically about Bruce Lee." So Talia's back in the picture. She still looks as young as ever. She gives him another chance. Terry's like, "Hey, man, now that you're back. Like, I should probably stop being Batman. You could be Batman again. He's like, no, you're Batman. All this other stuff. It becomes a whole thing. Talia and him start rekindling their relationship and things like that. You know, they're making out and things like that. There's some normal villain shit that happens, and then it's revealed that Roz did die. He basically couldn't do the Lazarus Pit anymore, so just put his consciousness in Talia's body. Talia is dead, and so Bruce has been making out with Ra's al Ghul.
See that's so iconic of them.
Yeah, had Bruce not put two together, and because he basically gets into the Lazarus Pit, does like a curl, like I can lift like 500 pounds really quick.
Yeah,
and he's just like, nah, fuck this shit, it's unnatural. Throws the curl into like a window, and just like, I'm out of here.
And that's what kind of starts the domino effect. Like, oh, this is wrong. It shouldn't be like this strong. And then Roz being like, yo, you can't leave. And I was like, wait a minute, were you making out with Ra's al Ghul this whole time? Did you fuck him? Like, did you fuck Roz?
Yeah, you probably would have, honestly.
He would have. Roz would have been like, go ahead, take it. You know, he's been
it's
around
crazy
forever.
too. That's kind of it's weird how many times old man Bruce is like, that's his usual future for the most part. Sometimes he does like actually die, but like even in the like Dark Knight Returns universe, he just goes young again because of the Lazarus Pit. He almost dies, and then they like, hey, Lazarus Pit. All right, cool, I'm back.
He's like, I shouldn't do this.
I'm back
He's
to
like,
being
I'm
young
back
again.
anyway. Who cares? Fuck it.
Yeah.
The better. But yeah, he makes out and most likely has sex with Ra's al Ghul.
Oh yeah.
So that's a thing.
Yeah.
Roz always had some like creepy vibes, especially with his feelings around Tim Drake.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't put it past him.
Yeah.
He is like madly just in love with the Bat family. He realizes how fucking OP the Bat family is compared to his family. He's just like, I need to get one of these guys on my side, and honestly, please, somebody, anybody.
He's been around for 600 years. A hole's a hole at some point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's all it is.
All right. On that note, speaking of the League, another debate, I guess.
Oh, this is a good one. Yeah.
Is it the League of Assassins or the League of Shadows?
Oh, damn, that's a good one. I always go by League of Assassins. I don't think I rarely call it League of Shadows.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I don't have any reason other than I think it was just the first way I learned to call it the League of Assassons.
Yeah,
and it just I just stick with it.
It feels right. League of Shadows, though, I will admit, does somehow sound cooler.
Because like they call their agents the Shadows, so, like it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
It does seem cooler, but I did learn it as League of Assassins. So every time League of Shadows comes up, I'm like, ooh, that's fun and different. I love that. But yeah, no,
it's a rebranding effort, you know.
That's entirely to blame because of the Batman games, too.
Yeah,
I think I wasn't introduced to the League of Shadows or League of Assassins. Now, see, I'm calling Shadows now. Until Batman, Arkham Asylum, and Arkham City.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I feel like that's a big thing in there. Yeah. Well, I forgot to mention because we got into this Roz thing. When I first heard Raish, I forgot to mention this. Was when it was clicked for me was Batman Begins, and it was like I was so into that movie, and they said Raish. I was like, what the fuck did you just say? It was like watching the first like Venom movie. Not that I like loved it, and then being Symbiote. I was like, the fuck did you just say? That is completely wrong.
I hate when people put out symbiote. I'm like, please don't.
30 fucking years. We've heard this word used so much, in different cartoons and movies.
Games, like it's symbiote.
Fuck?
Come on, guys.
Yeah. No, stop it. Stop it now.
Stop. And you know what's crazy too? Like, okay, since the animated TV show, right, is written by like Paul Dini and Bruce Timm and like a bunch of different other people. The games, right? Batman, at least Arkham Asylum and Arkham City are also Dini work. So when Ra's al Ghul shows up in those, he's also pronounced as Raish as well. That's the other thing.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
It's a little holdover from the animated shows too.
That's good. All right. So moving on, I want to touch on one more thing before we get into our last subsection. But this one I popped in my head when like rewatching this for like the 80th time I've seen this movie. Why do so many smart people i.e. Lex, Black Mask, Raish, Roz, hired Joker. Like, how do you not think this is going to blow up in your face and have some kind of contingency plan? You guys are that
They
smart
all
and
think
that
they're
dumb at the same time.
smarter.
I think
I
that's
don't.
the issue. They
Problem.
think they all
They
smarter.
think they know they're so smart, and they think they can outsmart the Joker. Newsflash: you can't outsmart crazy.
Yeah.
Literal insanity. You can't outsmart that. You can't predict what he's gonna do. You can't control what he's gonna do. He doesn't know what he's gonna do half the time. Okay, listen. Joker sometimes has a touch of the genius and has like all these plans, and sometimes he just goes off the fucking rails. Okay, you can't
Yeah.
outsmart crazy. That's all I have to say
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah, I don't understand it either. I'm gonna put my boots in Lex Luthor's shoes really quick, and say, if you think this logically, right? Batman, this fucking insane regular dude who is somehow smarter than everybody, always fucking wins, never gets killed, can fight toe to toe with fucking creatures up to like Darkseid and people as low as like the Condiment Man, but always wins. His greatest villain is the Joker. This man obviously has a problem with the Joker. So you're telling me why would I hire a man like the Joker if Batman can't even fucking beat his ass? Like, come on.
No, that's a good point.
I just don't get it. I don't get it. I think they think like, again, I think they think they're smarter than him somehow, but
Like, talk about
No.
underestimating, right? To a certain degree.
Yeah.
Like, talk about, you are truly underestimating this man. Like, you're like, he's just crazy, bitch. You're crazy for thinking that. Like, what the fuck do you think? Like,
the crazy's always been the Mask, right? Like, I don't know how people don't understand that yet.
Yeah, like, he's so fucking smart. And yeah, there is that, I mentioned this in Killing Joke, like, episode. There is that kind of line he has in The Dark Knight when he's talking to Harvey, right? Where he's like, I'm just a dog chasing a car. And yeah, there's like maybe 50% of the time that's Joker. The other 50% is pure fucking genius that happens to be fucking insane. And he's like, oh, he's got plans on plans on plans. That's why he's Batman's greatest fucking villain. Like, he's got almost the same plans as Batman. Oh, you're gonna fucking stab me in the hand? Fake hand, punch in face. Like, what the fuck are you talking? That killed me.
Yeah, he's as prepared, if not more prepared, than the most prepared man in the DCU, right? Like, he's insane. But I think what the charm of it too is comes from the fact, like, he reminds me a lot of, I don't know if you've ever seen Better Call Saul, but like Lalo, right? From Better Call Saul, in a way that Lalo does, like, plans things out, but he's so ready to improvise in the moment or blindside you in the moment that's what makes him the most dangerous man in the room. It's that he has a plan, but he's willing at any moment to say, fuck this plan, I'm going to chop your arm off, or fuck this plan, I'm going to blow the building up. You know what I mean? Like, it's that constant fear of the unpredictability of it that makes the Joker so fucking scary, right? And that makes him almost, to me at least, unhireable, because he's like, yeah, he might go with the plan, but at some point of the plan, he may just say, fuck it, I'm back to doing my own thing, and then just kill everybody in the room if he wanted to.
Yeah, no, absolutely, I agree with that. Yeah, it's just like it's such an oversight when you see it. It's like, how are you fucking this smart and this dumb at the same time? What the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah,
especially Roz. Like, he's been around for 600 years. This is one of the biggest mistakes you've ever made. You're a fucking idiot. Like, god damn it, Jesus Christ.
Working with the Joker is probably the dumbest thing. Yeah, he still kicks himself.
Yeah, he's like, I fucked up, guys. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah, like,
that's on me.
Yeah.
That's on me.
Because it goes against everything he's about, right? Like, he's about culling and killing the criminal element. Him working with it is just like the most hypocritical thing in the fucking world.
Exactly. And then, like, if let's say Jason were to die, it would have been in 1-on-1 fucking combat with Roz. Like, it wouldn't have been in this situation where it's like, oh, like, he died because I sicked the Joker on by accident. It was like, again, you're fucking stupid. But it is interesting. I wanted to before we get into like our thoughts on the above movies and kind of blow Frank's mind with some of the alternate histories that we get, alternate futures, I'm sorry, should we get in Death in the Family. You alluded to this, Frank, earlier. There's a bunch of changes between the comics and the movies. A lot of controversial stuff with the storyline. Not to mention the initial like match that's lit here in the fact that Superboy Prime is the reason why Jason's alive in canon, because he punched reality. Again,
Shifted reality just a little bit.
He got so angry, he punched a wall of reality, and the ripple effect brought Jason back from the dead. So, let's start with that small controversial thing and continue on with what Talia does to him.
Yeah, there was like 3 main things that really stand out to me when I'm watching this movie. The first is the switch from Ethiopia to Sarajevo. I don't know why that was the choice. But I'm pretty sure like everything else is Ethiopia, but in this movie apparently he died in Sarajevo. All right, cool, whatever. What is it? Oh, and then how the Lazarus pits function. Like, I get you don't want him waking up in his coffin like 6 months later and then having to dig out of his grave. That's a little graphic. For this movie, so something. But then having like Raish be the one who like steals his body and like puts his dead body in the pit, and then like not having him wander around brainless zombie. Which I mean cuts down on the time, the runtime.
Oh yeah,
it does, and it also fits a little better than some angry little pissy Clark Kent wannabe punching a fucking invisible wall. Like, oh shit, what just happened? Oh, Hal Jordan killed a shitload of people? Fuck.
Yeah.
Let me do this again. Oh shit, Jason Todd's back? God damn it. All right, maybe if I punch this one more time.
Yeah, they really expected the Jason Todd thing to be bad.
Yeah. What? What did you say, sir?
Is this also around when like Sanctuary happens?
No. This is more Infinite Crisis. Yeah, like post Infinite Crisis. Like this is like the explanation of why Jason was back.
So bad at timelines.
No.
There's so many crises at this point that like it's so hard to figure it out. There's Infinite, like fucking Final Crisis, fucking.
Yeah, they should have slowed down after Final Crisis. I'm not gonna lie.
Flashpoint is technically a crisis.
About Crisis on 2 Earths.
Yeah,
right.
God, there's so
Crisis on Infinite Earths.
God, so many crises. I mean, there was a Dark Crisis just like 2 years ago. It's ridiculous. At this point, it's like too much. It's like, hey, our sales are going down. What do we do? Crisis event. I'm like, no, we don't have to keep it.
Rebirth everything.
Like, stop it. Just stop. Just let these people live their lives. God. But yeah.
Oh, and then I had one more thing that I noticed change-wise. And I honestly didn't put it together until I started the recap in Death in the Family. Did they change instead of Garzonas like falling off the like balcony? It's into him like breaking that dude's collarbone. Is that?
That's like his event. Yeah. That's his event.
That was an interesting choice.
You broke his collarbone and put him in shock. It was like, all right, well, that's instead like one thing.
Watching a dude fall to his death, that's a little bit like different extremes. You know?
And again,
even then, one of them is like kind of redeemable. I'm like, Batman, you've kind of done worse. I don't know why we're getting kind of mad about this. And the other one is just like, oh yeah, that's almost murder.
Yeah, and you weren't there to see it happen. Yeah. Are you gonna trust your son to be like, no, for real, he fell, or like,
are you gonna trust your fucking son?
Yeah, exactly. God, that's how much Jim Shirley said. He was like, I don't give a fuck, man. He's not gonna trust him. I was like, all right, well, this one event, like, we could pull him back. Nope, no, he's gonna make him a dick. Cool, no. Batman's just a shitty. And this is like almost the second part of like, hey, Batman's really a shitty dad. It's like he doesn't have to.
Batman is a pretty bad dad. Yeah, let's be honest.
He's getting better. He's getting better. Yeah, he's getting.
I don't know. Last time
well, he did.
Him and Jason love to beat the shit out of each other. I'll tell you that.
They are that toxic dad and son who just get drunk on the weekend and fist fight each other. Yeah, that's what that is. That's horrible. I wanted this song because I
literally said.
Yeah.
Sorry, just on the note of them beating the shit out of each other during one of the Death of the Family endings, the one you saw, Frank, where he's like talking to Clark about like what's going on, and he's explaining how like oh, I'm just gonna like teach him a lesson. I'm gonna beat the shit out of him. And I was like, because that's a totally normal and reasonable reaction to your child's trauma.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Just punch him in the face. Put his
Punch him in
face
the face.
through a
Throw him
fucking
through the wall. It's
toilet. Yeah.
Jesus
I
Christ.
think one of my favorite quotes from Jason, it's after he shoots the fucking penguin in the face. To be fair, the penguin had it coming.
Yeah.
And Batman shows up, pissed off. By the way, dumb scene from writers, because like literally like I think a week or two before that, Batwoman killed Clayface in the comic books. So
yeah.
stupid for Bruce Wayne to get pissed about this, but Jason shoots the penguin, comes down on Jason, literally beats the shit out of him, and Jason looks up at Batman and goes, I had never even seen you hit Joker this hard. Like, what a thing to say to Batman of all people.
To your fucking son,
To your own son.
Like, really, you gonna hit me that hard? I've seen you like take later shots at Joker. Like,
Yeah.
as fuck.
He hit him so hard it broke
criminal.
his mask. Like, that's how hard he hit him.
There's a bomb in that mask at all times.
Like, fucking,
Like,
don't get me started about the bomb.
The bomb's the coolest thing ever.
it's the coolest fucking thing ever. This is so dumb and so smart at the same time.
Also, it's like, just shows how fucking unhinged Jason is. Just walking around with a fucking bomb strapped to his head.
Just chill,
You know
cool as a
what?
cucumber.
I respect it. Me too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You ever see that one
Real.
panel of him like just serving cunt as he's like laying on like almost like a throne with the mask on? Like, sir,
Yeah.
there's fucking like plastique on your face at any given point. Like at any given
know,
point. And then you got another mask where you take that one off.
What's more cool? The fact that his that like the at least not in this movie, but the helmet is a bomb, right? Or the fact that this like the red bat symbol that he has is a giant taser. Which one's more cool?
God damn it, the bomb still, but the taser is pretty
I do
cool.
like the taser. Yeah.
Yeah, that is.
At any moment he just like taser.
That is pretty fucking cool. Yeah, actually. God damn. Yeah, the thing I brought up, and I don't want to, obviously your trigger warning and everything like that. I'm glad they changed it in more recent writings and retellings of it. But like the fact that Talia physically takes advantage of Jason.
Yeah, that's an ick.
That's
an ick.
Such an
like a walking zombie.
Yeah.
Horrifying.
Yeah, like a very malleable at least in terms of like memory and brain, because he's still kind of like piecing shit together at this point, and still kind of getting his like his spirit back and stuff like that. But not only that, that's to me that's like one of the biggest sins of like the Batman universe, right? Like you don't have Batman kill. Catwoman macking on the Bat family is also a little weird because sometimes that does happen.
I usually feel like it's to throw them off. Yeah.
And then Talia also doing that is kind of an ick.
Fucking what's her face? Mirage.
Mm-hmm.
Is that it? And Dick.
Oh, the rooftop scene. Is that Tarantula? Is that
who is Tarantula? Yeah, that's who it was. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's some nasty shit in the comics.
Yeah, there's some moments where I'm just like, yeah, I don't really feel that. Like Catwoman getting anywhere near the Bat family other than Bruce is kind of weird. There's one more. I'm just trying to remember what the hell it was. Obviously Barbara and Bruce getting together. I still think it's kind of weird.
Talk about it all the time.
Yeah, that's a little rough. In the context of the Bruce Timm universe, it like the way Bruce Timm wrote it, like Batman isn't as old as people think he is in that universe, so I can kind of see how that works. But anywhere else, it doesn't. Like it's just kind of weird. And then of course Harley Quinn getting with any of the Bat family is kind of weird, in my opinion, because that's like there's so many levels of wrong with that.
Yeah. Yeah,
that was a fun movie though.
Yeah, it was a fun movie, but it's definitely Bruce Timm's fetishes just in one animated.
I will say just quickly as we were talking about the specific event with Talia and Jason, I looked up and I found this Red Hood Reddit, and they were looking at the canon ages. So Jason is 17 during Batman Hush storyline. that means he was probably
About
back for a
16,
couple
15.
16, 15 when Talia like does that to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
That is
a little rough.
gross, dude. That is fucking
Yeah.
gross.
It's a little rough.
I
Yeah. I'm glad we took that out.
realized that we failed to mention the probably biggest change between the comics and the movies in a similar scene, and that's the fucking batarang to the throat.
Oh God, yeah,
Mm.
yeah. I always forget about that.
It haunts my days. I think
Yeah.
about that comic panel like once a day. But yeah, it's like we like kind of get like the similar scene with Jason like taking the Joker and be like, it's him or me or whatever. And in here, like the batarang goes to the gun and the gun backfires and like
Fucks his
mangles
hand
his
up.
hand or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Instead of literally slitting his throat and leaving him to die.
Mm-hmm.
Great parenting, Bruce.
Yeah. I got Bruce. He gets it eventually, but yeah, no, it's he's rough. He is definitely rough around the edges, especially in those early years. Yeah.
God, yeah. I was like looking at the panel now. I'm like, holy fuck, I did forget about that. Jesus Christ, so fucked up. Jesus God. Yeah, I'm glad it's his
featured
hand.
in the edit that I sent you to roll at the end of this
That's
episode.
right. That is very right. That's very right. Before we move on to talk about yeah, I see you highlighted that. I wanted to touch on one thing before we just give our overall notes. Because we were talking about the Lazarus specifically, it's gotta taste gross, right? Like
Oh, it's
Yeah.
like years of fucking bathwater plus like
old
whatever is in it.
bath
Old
water.
man
Old
bathwater.
man
Yeah,
bathwater.
it's not even
Plus,
amaranth
it's the
like bath
literal,
water.
like toxic chemicals.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah.
like it probably
Yeah.
tastes how people describe like antifreeze tasting, right? Like they say it's supposed to be sweet. That's why like animals go for it and shit. Like it's probably like sweet in like a weird way. You're like, you like taste like something sweet. I feel like Jason. That's probably what made him crazy. Can't get that fucking taste out of his mouth. He's like, I'm fine actually, mentally, physically. I got a little scarred up, but like, I think I'm gonna be. I just can't. This fucking taste is driving me
Yeah.
insane. He's like, yeah, you get used to it. You get used to it after a while. It takes a little time. You get used to it though. Have like a soda or something. You could don't drink orange juice. It makes it worse. You know, it's like toothpaste and orange juice. Like it's just fucking gross. Let's start.
It tastes
with
like that one green drink from the 90s. I'm trying to remember the fucking name.
Surge?
Of it. Surge. It tastes like Surge.
That's actually what I was thinking about earlier. I was like,
just
no
a
one's
vat
gonna
of
know
Surge.
what I'm talking about if I say this. I'm glad you guys did. I'm glad. Yeah, it probably does. It probably looks like Surge. So yeah, it probably tastes like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ideally, in my perfect world, it tastes like Ecto Cooler High C, and I'm jumping in that Lazarus all the time, man. I'm telling you,
Yeah.
that would be
It's
peak
crazy
physical
too.
fun.
Now that I think about it, I never really put two and two together that they look exactly the same in terms of like Joker falling into a vat of acid. It was just some green acid, right? And
Fuck,
Jason
yeah.
falling into a vat of green liquid as well.
Huh.
Both of them birthing the opposite, right? One
These-
birthed the Joker, the other one birthed the Red Hood.
Yeah,
It's kind of
holy
crazy.
shit. Yeah, that's kind of wow.
Yeah.
Not subtle at all. And
Fucking
I still,
symbolism.
I didn't even think about that.
you know, 20, 30 years
That was a
over
grateful.
my head. Damn, Frank. Yeah, good job, man.
Yeah.
All right, with that, before we specifically under the Red Hood, Frank, any like closing thoughts about that? Anything you want to shout out?
Man, shout out to the fucking voice cast in this.
Jensen
'Cause
Ackles, man.
Absolutely insane. Jensen Ackles killed it as Red Hood, and as Jason, like to the point where he deserves to be a live action version of this character at least once in his lifetime. I know he's been fighting for that for years, and James Gunn, man, there's a perfect opportunity in Red Hood and the Outlaws. I understand maybe Red Hood and the Outlaws Volume 1 not everybody knows, but if you do Red Hood and the Outlaws Volume 2 with Bizarro, Artemis, and fucking Jason Todd, and just put Jensen Ackles as
Mhm.
Jason Todd, I'm telling you right now, you'd have money.
This
You'd have
is
money.
poor erasure,
Okay.
and I will not stand for it.
I like Volume 1 very much. It's just Volume 1 goes like sometimes is just insanely good
Yeah.
in terms of like, hey, we have this cool little like relationship between these characters who are kind of outcasts within their own teams, right? And then most of the time it's kind of porn.
Yeah, a lot of
Yeah.
times. Yep.
Yeah, no, listen, I love Artemis. I love Artemis so much. But something about, you know, Corey, Jason, Roy, that whole trio really gets me going, you know?
Yeah, it's the classic trio, and it's loved. Also, I don't like Jason Todd's mask in that version. The
Oh, the
lips,
gas
No.
the
mask.
lips.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, the
Mhm.
lips.
Yeah, no.
Nah, no.
Not a
But
fan.
Volume 2 has so many cool fucking moments that kind of. Funny enough, I think you posted a picture from Volume 2, right? I believe that's
I
Red.
the
That's the intro
the
to it. That's the
picture
first
I
panel.
posted in the chat was because Carlos was talking about a scene of him sitting on the throne, and I just
Yep.
like remembered that Dexter Soy art and was like, "Is this the
Yeah,
thing we're talking
That's from
about?"
Yeah.
that's from Volume 2. That's
Yeah,
like the
100%,
first few
yeah.
chapters of Volume 2.
Yeah. Mhm.
It's so good. It's so good. If you've never read Red Hood and the Outlaws Volume 2 with the Dark Trinity, I think they call them, because they're technically the opposite of the regular Trinity.
Yeah,
of
Bizarro,
Batman.
Artemis, and all
Yeah,
that.
see,
Mhm.
Yeah.
so they're like the Dark
That makes
Trinity,
sense.
and it's so fucking good. It's so fucking good. But if you bring back most of these people, John DiMaggio as the Joker, absolutely fucking insane.
Dude, he's really good.
Usually in this period, if you watch a lot of the animated stuff, or even just like any kind of interpretations of the Joker, you'd notice that a lot of the Jokers are trying to kind of not copy but emulate what Mark Hamill was doing with the character, right? Because Mark Hamill really revolutionized how that character sounds, how that character acts, how that character kind of does things, right? Whereas John DiMaggio came in and said, "Fuck it, I'm doing it my own way," and absolutely nailed it. Killed
Yeah,
it.
it really
Fucking
works.
nails it.
It
Yeah.
really works for his version
Yeah.
of it too.
And he won an award for it too, I think. I think that's like an odd running
Well
joke that like Mark Hamill never got an award for it, but John DiMaggio
John
did.
DiMaggio. We gotta put more respect in John DiMaggio's name, because that dude is like legit.
He's
Like,
killing it.
honestly, he's really good. He does really good funny voices. He does a lot. You know, obviously he's Bender, but then like he could do this serious shit that you don't expect. And like if you're a Gears of War fan, you know he could do serious. And that was like
Mhm.
when he got cast as Joker. And thank God I played at that time Gears of War. I was like, I think this is gonna work, and it really does. It really works. He does a really good job. Jensen, I'm a huge Supernatural fan. I had the tattoo on my chest. I'm not gonna. That's a running joke. And my friend Brianna, I don't know if she's watching this when it comes out. That's how we first met. She started talking about, a little sexual harassment in the workplace is okay. Once you meet your best friend, at least. That's a joke. No one fired me from anything.
I'm already DMing Fee right now.
He
HR,
reads monster porn. That's fine. She has no leg to stand on.
He fired people as HR for less. However, I don't think she would fire you for that.
Exactly. Yeah. So I will tell this story on air. It's really funny because it's also like I'm like really. She's like one of my best friends, and like her whole family. I've been over her house. They love me. They all know the story, which is wild to me. Like her dad knows the story. I'm like, guys, this is really weird for y'all to be knowing this story. Like, can't we just keep it like, hey, we met at work and we're like really best friends. Like we love anime and Batman. Like that's it. No, okay.
No, you gotta get weird with it.
Uh-huh,
That's how you know
100%.
your best friends.
Exactly. So all I heard, it was Christmas Day, funny enough, where we were close to filming. We're close to that day. We were working, and all I heard was Supernatural. I was like, oh, I've been saying my mom got me like tickets to go see the Supernatural convention. I was like, oh, you like Supernatural? And waddled over like the little fat guy I am. And I was like, hey, so I like Supernatural too. And she's like, oh, really? That's awesome. And I was like, yeah, I love it. And I was like, didn't say any other word. In my head, I kept talking. Physically, what's happening was I was unbuttoning my shirt to be like, this is how much I love Supernatural. Let me show you my tattoo. Course. But this is
right.
This is also where I like to admit that this is what's problem with society and men. That there was no other thoughts in my brain. It was like, yeah, it's perfectly fine in the workplace just to take my shirt off and to show you my tattoo. I was like, we are the problem. We are 100% the problem. This is why they picked the bear. I get it. I understand. Because even as innocent, it was like, I love Supernatural. I'm going to show you my tattoo. I was like, I should voice that. Be like, hey, I love Supernatural. Let me show you my tattoo real quick. Like, oh shit, no problem. And this is like, she was like 2 weeks into the job. So like, and this is like her first job out of
Fresh.
college. So like, it's like, man, they really weren't lying. This is what happens in the workplace. Okay, gotcha.
Mhm.
But yeah,
that.
anyway, that's how much of a big Supernatural fan I am. That when Jensen got cast, I felt like I was one of the people in the minority was like, oh, he's gonna kill it as Jason. And a lot of people were like, really? The pretty boy from Supernatural? I'm like, you guys don't watch this shit every week like I do. Like, there's a lot of depth there. He does a lot with his voice and fucking mannerisms in that show. You should wait. And then the movie came out, and I was like proven right. I'm like, dude, he fucking murdered this scene. Everything he does in this is so he captures like Jason's cockiness perfectly. That shit-eating grin he has. Like the little things when Batman like punches him, he's like, ow. Like those little things where he's like trying to annoy Bruce. And then when it gets shit hits the fan and we have that, our drama class scene that we'll touch upon soon, it's just outstanding. You feel the emotion in it, you can hear it. It sounds like he's fucking really crying when he's talking, to Batman in that scene. It's incredible. But yeah. Sly, any little things you want to touch upon, notes wise?
Yeah, I want to shout out the second best line delivery we get in this movie, which would have made drama class if we weren't just doing an entire scene. And it's it's when Dick is like, he did just thank me, right? And Alfie's like,
Yeah.
he did indeed, sir. And then Dick just goes, weird.
Yeah.
He was like, fuck out. Like, fuck off so
time.
quickly.
Shout out to how
yeah.
normal the Bat family feels in this movie too. Like it feels like they definitely like it hurts it. It's kind of weird because it's like it drives home Jason's point even more. How much they kind of like forgot about him and how like normal things have kind of gotten even after his death, right? Because you see how like progressed the Bat family is. This is definitely a Bat family that like eats dinner together type shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're cool with each other at this point. And that probably hurts Jason the most because he's just like, look at this fucking pretty boy dude who like got it all and shit. And when he looks at like Dick Grayson, right? Like, oh great. I think the only one who's probably safe is Alfred. Because Alfred did nothing wrong.
Space while I died. It's fine.
Yeah. Exactly. Like it's insane. Like what the shit that they like. He's justified in so much of his thoughts, because it really does feel like they just life kept going on, and like of course we have like he has a memorial for him, but like and they don't vocalize as well like how much it hurt to see them gone, and we get that later, post New 52, and bringing Red Hood into the fold as a hero now or as anti-hero. We do get that retrospectively and it's really nice, but at the initial time you're like, yeah, he's right. Like it feels like no time has passed, and it is like a kind of a talk to the audience who's voted for his death, in the 80s and the late 80s, voting for him to die. Be like, yeah, this character's annoying. I'll give you $2 so you can murder him. I'll call this.
We're also going to make him the most badass character now ever.
Like, yeah, exactly. It's such a it's such a fuck you to the fans, that did that. It's like, look what he could have been. Like we didn't have to do this, and it's a really cool thing.
And then I love that we end on that scene reminiscing where we get to see
the best day of my life.
The Robin gives me magic version of Jason.
Oh my
putting on the
God.
suit for the first time. He's just like,
Bruce is smiling the whole time. Even when he's yelling at him. Even when he's yelling, like pretending to yell, like, come on, I'm gonna leave without you. But you're like, I've done that as a dad. We're like, I'm gonna leave. I'm annoyed, but at the same time I'm cracking up because I know like son's doing something stupid and funny. And then he's like, gotcha. And he actually scares Alfred. I love that. That or Alfred being the theater, actor that he is. He's like, he probably threw it on purpose. Like,
Alfie's pretending to react to that in my head canon.
Yeah. He's like, I spotted you 3 minutes ago going, and it's so cute. And he's like he's like kicking, he's like punching. He's like, this is going to be the best day of my life. It was like, oh, God damn it. It hurts.
Yeah. I love it. And, there is a blink if you miss it scene. It's where Jason takes off the helmet for the first time on the rooftops with Bruce, and the lightning and it flashes back to him as like a teenager. It's like, oh my God, dude. Stop.
Or when Bruce shows up in Crime Alley, and this is like the first time you see him ever. You would have to assume ever smiling in that area of the city, because he's reminiscing the first time he sees Jason. Yeah, he's stealing the tires and he sees them, and Bruce, President Bruce smiles at that memory. And I was like, oh, God. And then he's immediately thrown back in the fire. He's like, hey, I'm here. We got to fight. He's like, oh, fuck yeah. I guess we do have to fight.
Funny you mentioned that scene too, because that's exactly the scene I think of when I think of Jensen Ackles' voice acting, because I always tell people about this when it comes up that he does a really good job at making it, like, their first encounter, Jason sound a little nervous. He's cocky throughout the whole thing, but in that moment where he's like face to face with the truth, like, yeah, Bruce now knows that I'm who I am. This is the first time we're actually going to see each other like face to face, really, for the first time. And you hear it in his voice. He's just like, it's almost as if he's a little unsure of himself, right? Like, if he's ready to do this, and then the cockiness comes back after. That.
It's like, this is the moment I've been waiting for. Like, what's it gonna really feel like in the moment?
It's all come down to this. You know what I mean?
100%. Yeah. So the thing I wanted to shout out was because I see it keep being highlighted. I do believe this. 90s Neil Patrick Harris could have definitely played Nightwing. Live action. I don't know why it says love action, but live act. Well,
Love action.
Live action. I was like, I wanted to give a special shout out to Chris O'Donnell, but honestly, like, thinking about Starship Troopers, like Neil Patrick Harris, like, you just put a little more bulk to him, he'd be a pretty good, Dick Grayson, I think, especially voice acting wise. He absolutely nails it. You always forget that, like, he's like a really good voice actor when he does it. He's like, fuck, you're so well rounded as an actor. You're such a jack of all trades that you're like, you don't do a lot of voice work like this. He's done Spider-Man a couple times and it's really good every time he does it. It makes sense. What was the one thing?
Shout out to Neil Patrick Harris, who my most recent point of reference for him as a human is that he loves like magic tricks and like learning like magician stuff.
Yeah, insane.
And he's guested on the podcast I'm currently binging through called Escape This Podcast twice.
yeah, he did some stuff for the most recent Nishuti, I can't pronounce his last name. I can't remember his last name, but the newest Doctor. Gawa, yes, thank you. Where he was like the toy man, and there's like some magic things he does in that. I was like, that's definitely Neil Patrick Harris being like, yo, I know these things. Like, all right, man. It was like funny enough, awesome. Like Daniel Radcliffe actually knowing close-up magic. He's like, why don't you do it often? He's like, there's a fucking good reason why I don't do it often. Like, Jesus. There is this is a random thing that I thought would be funny for us to talk about. Do you think Alfred pets the bats? You think like he has names for them and like takes, obviously he feeds them, but like, do you think he like
a little too refined?
Fair, yeah, he is.
He domesticated them. I think the bats are all just because he's worried. He would be worried that Bruce would get sick from the bats, right?
Yeah, like, he probably like vaccinated. He rabies vaccinated.
He vaccinated every single one of them. All of them look like kind of like fruit, like domesticated fruit bats. But Bruce Wayne doesn't notice because he's just like they're just fucking bats, right? But to Alfred, it's like, yeah, dude, they're my pets. They're all the people who listen.
Alfred is definitely in the background, just doing all this shit that like no one realizes he's like doing. Like, he's feeding people. He brings sugar down for Dick specifically for his coffee, knowing he makes cucumber sandwiches all the time. I was in my head, I was singing the Reba song from the show. Like, he's a single mom who works 2 jobs. He loves his kids.
And one of them is adopting a bat cow. Why not?
Yeah, bat cow, sure. Yeah, no problem. I'll take care of this thing as well, because God knows that little shit's not gonna do it. Like, every parent
shows up, right? Like,
yeah, exactly.
He doesn't really have anybody at the house.
Oh, here we go. So this is a good question that I didn't want to bring specifically to, like, the Romano Roundup, but who do we think, off the top of your head, who do you think is scarier, Black Mask or Penguin as a mob boss?
Black Mask.
Penguin.
Good question. Really?
Yeah. Penguin. Usually, like, Black Mask is usually pretty mob bossy, but in the grand scope of things, he's kind of a bitch. Like, by the end of it, right? Like, once you get one-on-one with him, right? For some reason, Penguin's got hands. usually,
Yeah.
and I don't know why.
Yeah.
Like I don't
See,
like
Yeah,
he's
when
crazy.
I think of Sionis, I'm thinking of like Stephanie Brown.
Mm.
Okay,
And
yeah, I can see
that's
that.
traumatizing. And when
Yeah.
I'm thinking of Penguin, I'm thinking about my beloved 2004 The Batman, the animated series,
Fair.
and that's the Penguin I think of.
Yeah.
And he's kind of a little bitch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fair.
It depends on which version of like the
Yeah.
characters you kind of like acclimate him to, right?
Yeah, because
Like
initially, like Black Mass is there is a touch of insanity there. You know, he just has no remorse.
Fair.
So I think that's what like hurts. Like especially when you see how well, funny enough, that Ewan McGregor does his role, like does his character in the Emancipation of Harley Quinn Birds of Prey movie. Like he is very sadistic. And was like, wow, this does feel like a Black Mass we have not seen, or like you read about in the comics, but like fully realize like he really does feel like this motherfucker is really just ever so slightly like a touch insane. Like he's not so
mhm.
much to go to Arkham, but like enough to be like, yo, you got to be put away forever, bro. Like you're not just a normal racketeering mob boss like Penguin, which again, that's scary on its own because it's Gotham, and the fact that you can become the boss of bosses in Gotham, fucking impressive. Especially with all the other fucking crazed lunatics running around this goddamn city. Really impressive from Oswald to do that. But Sionis is like a just ever so slightly like freaks me out. I'm like, oh, I don't like it. I don't like
Yeah.
it.
It depends on which version of like I said you get of him, because sometimes he's hand to
What's
hand,
your
right? Sometimes he's
association?
actually in.
Yeah.
Usually the way I look at it, he's always the character who's the guy giving the orders. But once you get to him himself, then he's kind of like you've won. You know what I mean? Because there's not really much he can do on his own. Whereas like every time the Penguin's ever done anything, he is like a guy who's like, yeah, I'm gonna give the orders, but he's also one of the rare ones like Harvey Dent and stuff like that, who will get their hands dirty with Batman in the room and actually like fight him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, is he gonna
Which is
win?
why I
No.
fear
Is he
him a
gonna
little bit
try?
more.
Yep.
No, yeah, he's gonna beat the shit. He's gonna shoot at you with that cane. He's gonna do whatever he fucking can. But like I don't know. I don't remember if Roman has any hands, like actual like hands. Because even in like the Red Hood and the Outlaws, right?
Mm.
He's a big character in that like first few chapters. For the most part, Jason just fucking dog walks him. But
Yeah.
since Roman's like kind of technically mob boss smart, he's one step ahead of him because he's got dirt on him and stuff like that, right?
Mhm.
Like
And
he's
has
using his
like
mob
hidden
boss stuff
people.
to win.
Yeah.
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 He's scary because he's basically the Tony Soprano of the mob bosses. Right?
Yeah.
Like he's fucking you get to Tony himself, he's probably not all that dangerous, but you get to his crew and who he like represents, and you're like, yeah, you're probably gonna die before you even come anywhere close to him.
Yeah. That's a really
Yeah.
good point. So yeah, this is a good point to I was like watching, I was like, man, he's really crazy. Moving on, we're gonna move on to our second film, which I will give a special actual I don't know why I'm so laggy. Jesus Christ. I mean you guys can hear me, right? Oh no. What is going on? Is this happening again? What the fuck?
Family.
Oh yeah, there we go. Sorry, I was like, what the hell just happened?
Okay.
Because I was like all laggy. I was like, yeah, but yeah, we're there's death in the family. There we go.
Yeah. So this is one I kind of combined with Under the Red Hood because I had before today only seen the streaming version of this movie, which only follows one of the three ending options.
It's so
And
weird.
I was
Like, why would you do that?
yeah. So my reference point for this movie was, oh, this is just a frame story of retelling the events of Under the Red Hood, right? So Frank, I believe you watched the streaming version. Do you want to give like your impression of like what you saw from that version of this movie?
Yes, I'll retell what happened when I saw this. I downloaded it because I couldn't find a copy anywhere. I actually did look, okay, before people get mad at me, like, oh man, you just pirate everything. No, I looked. I went to stores. I went to Best Buy, I went to Target, I went to GameStop for some reason, but anywhere in the area to find a copy of this Blu-ray, and I could not find it, and I am impatient. If I can't find it locally, and I can't get it within 24 hours, I am probably going to pirate it. So I pirated it.
Valid.
And I was like, okay, I'm gonna watch through this, you know what I mean, and watch all the endings and everything like that. It's gonna be cool. To my surprise, I'm like, the fuck, this is just Under the Red Hood with a new intro. And I scroll through the whole thing and I'm like, holy shit, this really is just Under the Red Hood
Just
with a
Under the
new
Red Hood
intro.
with
And
and a
then
therapy session. That's it.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then you get to the end and it's like, okay, that's kind of cool. And then I looked it up and I'm like, oh, the streaming version is missing like 90% of the rest of it. So yeah, I mean, I kind of liked it. I like the ending. I think the ending's really cool.
Yeah.
Mainly because I always love it. I always love it when we have Bruce and Clark talking to each other like normal people. Even cooler that like Bruce confiding in Clark and like kind of using him like a therapist in a way where
Mhm.
like he wouldn't really talk about this with anybody and nobody else would really kind of understand what he's coming from other than Superman, right? I think that's really cool. I think that we need more of that. It's just weird that you put that in Under the Red Hood for some reason.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
thing I really like about that ending, so this is the Robin dies ending, is that I love that we get to see Bruce's perspective on all of the events of
Mhm.
Under the Red Hood. Like he's retelling it from what he experienced. And in the movie, we're almost like feels like we're mostly in Jason's head and a little bit in Dick's head as we're
Mhm.
following this movie. And so to get a little bit of a perspective shift and then it being framed as like Bruce and Clark having this conversation and totally not flirting with each other the entire time. Kind
Yeah.
of fruity, y'all. But I really enjoyed it. But that's all I knew
Yeah, fair.
about this.
And it goes crazy.
And it goes so
Yeah.
long. So I want to go next to the Cheat's death
Yes.
ending. Because that's the other kind of short one.
Mhm.
Those are the two where it's basically you pick an option and then the rest of the movie plays out.
Yeah. And yeah, and this one, yeah, Chief's death basically is just another what about say 15, 20 minutes you get like of footage.
Ish, yeah,
Yeah,
something
there's
like
no
that.
other choices because the other one is fucking rabbit tails down a fucking time hole of like what the fuck happens in this universe when you make a little choice. But Robin Cheat's death, so he gets caught up in the explosion still. He has really bad scarring on his face. Like from basically around his eye down. I said Zuko vibes much for Jason because he has almost like it's like he's
I
basically
do
Prince
not
Zuko.
need to be called out like this.
Yeah, yeah,
Jesus fucking Christ.
yeah. He's basically fucking Zuko at this point. He basically becomes that Hush version that we saw Frank, you know, in the little bit where he
Mhm.
has their R. He has like Hush's outfit. He's got bandages because while everyone's legitimately happy, like Bruce is happy, you see fucking Ace there, Barbara, Dick, Alfred.
The flaw on his like
Yeah,
bandage wrist.
he truly like they're all super like legit. Like, oh my god, you're alive. None of this bad shit happened. You're gonna get healed. We're gonna give you the best care ever. Don't worry. Jason's just stuck in this immense pain with this PTSD of like Joker trying to kill him, and he's like, you motherfuckers are the problem. Like, why are you smiling? Like, this is not okay. Like, this motherfucker's still around? Are you kidding me? And he just goes down the fucking path. He does eventually, he becomes Hush, again, not Red Hood. So those scenes are altered where you get, instead of Red Hood on top of the, because Black Mask keeps dying in all these different versions, which is fucking amazing. And he dies in some of the
Oh yeah.
worst ways. It's so great. He's on the rooftop across Sionis's building, and he, you know, he has the fucking rocket launcher. He shoots it, and if I'm right, Sly, is this the one where the door? You know how like Black Mask like ducks under the door and it goes right above him. This is one that's. Oh no,
No.
which one is this
No.
one?
That one's later. This is the one
Oh, he
where
falls out the
he's
building,
in
right?
the room.
Mhm.
and it blows up and he falls out. Yeah.
Yeah, and you see him land.
Yeah.
He's all bloodied and fucked up. If I'm right, I think this is rated R, right? Yeah, it's rated R.
Yeah.
So you see his like mangled fucking body. But then at this point, he's like a vigilante. He's killing. There's some things that are like alluded to other ones, but like Bruce like takes in Cheetah. Cheetah happened to be in Gotham, and as like Gotham PD is like putting her away, Jason takes a shot and shoots her with a sniper gun. He's like just killing villains left and right, just taking them out. I think he kills the Riddler. You see his body, or was it this one or is it the different one? This might be this one. I feel like
at this point.
but it's to the concept that he's just taking out all Batman's people, and Batman can't get a beat on him at all. Then we're introduced the same church rooftop that we see at the end of Under the Red Hood, and Jason's standing there, and Talia sneaks up behind
Tower,
him.
I think.
Yes.
Oh
no.
Top of Wind Tower. Yeah.
Oh no, that's a different one. That's the other one.
Next one. Right,
Yeah.
Okay.
So it is
Sorry,
the church.
We watched so many endings to this fucking movie.
Dude, and it's like sometimes rapid fire and sometimes you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Thank God for the feature to just go back to the last choice you made and then move on. It made that way easier for notes. But Talia comes up on him and he was like, "What? How'd you get past?" He's like, "Oh, you think you're the only one with like plastique behind me or whatever, like covering your six?" And it's like all this other stuff. And she's like, "I'm not here to fight. You know, we've noticed what you've been doing. You're doing basically like Frank, what you mentioned, like you're doing everything that we wanted Batman to do. You know, like you are the true heir. Like you are the person that should be taking over and all this other stuff." And he's like, not buying what she's selling. And she opens her coat and shows Damien.
Baby Damien.
You get to see baby fucking cute as a fucking button. This little asshole piece of shit kid. I love him to death.
I love
Terrible
him.
son of a bitch.
Yeah, and he's just so cute. And she's
I
like,
posted
you gotta take care of your
in
brother.
the. If you look at the DC grads Discord, I posted future Damien.
Yeah, I love that future Damien. That's such a
Yeah.
great series and book too. But yeah, so you get this image of, and she's like, basically, I want you to take over the league. I want you to take like my father's place, like how Roz wants people to do, and I want you to take your brother under your wing and basically take care of him because your father doesn't know like what happened, like, and I don't want him to know, but I want you to take care of him. And Jason, within a split second, is like, okay. And then you hear his monologue going like, I'm gonna raise this kid to fucking wreck shop on both the League of Assassins and his father. He's just making him the ultimate weapon.
I'm gonna turn him against both of his parents, I think. Is the line. But yeah, no, I love this one. It was the first one I got to experience watching through this. And one of my favorite tropes is when Jason kidnaps Damien from the league and then like raises him. So I absolutely fucking adored this one.
Yeah, this one was a good one. Then we are left with where it starts off so goddamn sad. Batman saves Robin, which is the other choice. That's the first one I jumped into, and there's a lot of choices here, Frank. So in this scenario, he manages to open the door, get to Jason just in time. He covers Jason, but Batman ends up dying in his stead. And you get some really good quotes from Bruce Greenwood here, where he's trying to tell him like, do not go after Joker, do not kill him. Like if you're going after him to put him away, that's fine, but do not kill him. Don't make my death like be in vain. I want you to rely on your brother, rely on your sister, you know, and Barbara and Dick, and be like, just use this family to heal. I want you to heal because I love you, son. And that's his final words and Bruce is crying as he's telling Jason this before he dies in Jason's arms. And it's fucking heartbreaking. I want you to heal because I love you, son. Oh my fucking God. And then it turns into, you have two choices now when you play the interactive movie: catch the Joker or kill the Joker. So I'll let you pick which way you want to go.
Yeah, I started with Catch the Joker.
I did the same thing.
And so then he's becoming like Red Hood, but he's not killing anybody. He's going through all the things. And then you get the scene on the bridge with the Joker that we see in the movie. And he basically has this line about like the one bad day thing that we always get. And then the Joker is going off on him like you're a natural born killer just like me. And we go back through all of the scenes where Jason thought he spared all of the people, only to realize that he brutally murdered every single one of them,
Yeah.
and then has this like psychotic break where you can either like kill or spare the Joker on that like bridge scene.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's where it starts getting crazy. And yeah, he also in Black Mass's horrible death in this is he gets sliced in half. So when the bazooka goes through, pops out, and it says bang, but then it like has a sonic wave where it breaks the glass and it cuts. And you see him get bisected, and you see like Black
Jesus.
Mass like just body turn off and just smush out. It's so gross. It's amazing. And he also has this like Jason Voorhees thing I put in my notes where when he looks at the mask, he hears kill, kill, kill them all, kill them all, and he constantly is fighting that voice. So yeah, you have the choice to
Little
kill
Green
the
Goblin
yeah.
esque.
Yeah, you can either save Joker or
yeah,
kill
definitely.
Joker. What did you pick, Sly, initially?
I think once I got to this one, I realized it was going to be long, so I would just go down all of the right options and then do, or the left options and then do the right
That's what I
options.
did too. Okay,
So,
so spare
yeah.
the Joker. Yeah. So yeah, Jason spares the Joker. Dick becomes Batman in this outcome, and he's trying to get Jason under control basically because of what he did. And Jason's kind of a little bit on the run, and at this point, he's on Wayne Tower, just sulking, and you hear Talia show up. Oh no, you see this figure in the dark, and you don't see. He's like, "Who are you? Who are you?" and all this stuff. And you see Talia. He's like, "Oh, da, 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 this is your father," and it's the Batman of Zur-En-Arrh show up, and he's got like the purple yellow. It's hard to see because he's in the shadow, but he's almost got the purple yellow, green thing rocking like the typical Zur-En-Arrh thing if you know from the comics. And all he can say is Zur-En-Arrh. Uh, and so basically, Talia is like, "Hey, come join the league, do all this stuff," and and he's like, "Listen, I've done a lot of horrible shit. I'm not a good person. I'm not gonna go with you. Bruce would never have want me with you. Bruce wouldn't want what you're doing to him right now." And she's like, "Fine, then prove it to him." And Bruce pulls out a knife. Jason pulls out a knife, and then you're left with life or death for Batman.
So basically, they have to fight. And
Yeah.
are they fighting to
the
live
death.
or fighting to
Yeah.
the death? And so if you choose the life, then we get the like knife through the hand, fake knife into the taser into the neck.
Yeah.
And then Jason takes a mostly comatose Bruce home, who can only say Zur-En-Arrh. And then it's like family healing time, and they reunite, and it's all one big happy family.
Yeah, Jason retires for a little bit. He's just working on himself. They're all together. Him, Dick, and Barbara are working on fixing Bruce. You get a recap of why Bruce is saying Zur-En-Arrh, and it's the whole thing, the whole scene from earlier in the movie where he's talking to Thomas.
Zorro and Arkham.
And so that's
Like,
Zur-En-Arrh. That's what he's saying, really, Zora in Arkham. And that's what the memory he's stuck on. So that's, you're left with a little bit of hope. Now, if you choose death, instead of Jason still takes a knife to the hand. He uses his hand to block himself. But he moves it aside and he stabs Bruce in the chest. Bruce falls back, and as they go near him, like Jason's sad, obviously, like kneels next to him. Batman, all angry, looks and just says Zur-En-Arrh, Zur-En-Arrh, opens his hand, and he has like a fucking C4 attached to his hand.
the like little detonator button and fucking blows up all three of them on the rooftop.
Yeah, so
There was a great line in this clip
Mhm.
where Jason said something about like Batman died in Bosnia and he'll die again now or
Oh yeah.
whatever. That was a
Yeah.
great line. And then they're all just fucking murdered. Like
Yeah.
Talia, Jason, and Bruce are all dead.
And you see their charred fucking bodies with like missing teeth
Yeah.
and shit, and then it ends with this image of Jason with like missing skin, teeth. He's missing his eyes. He's like still like scolding, like it's still like hot, fire. Like there's embers in his eyes, and it's reminiscent of the cover of when they killed Jason. It's that cover image, but all like skeleton and fucking fire. It's gross. It's so
Damn.
fucked up and gross. But then that's if you catch the Joker. Those are your options. Those are the two specific endings. Now, if you kill the Joker, Sly, hit us with that one.
So yeah, so there's two different kill the Joker moments.
Yeah.
And this got me a little confused.
Yeah.
So this is specifically talking about the option on the bridge where they're having this argument, and we're still in the catch the Joker arc where he's like losing his sanity. So he thought he wasn't killing people, he actually was. And then on this bridge he kills the Joker straight to the head. They take Joker's body, they like I think they do an autopsy, whatever, and then they
Hate
put
to
him
be
in,
that quarter.
like, they cremate him in the incinerator, and then you see Harley holding like his file from Arkham. She has a little tear go down her cheek.
Mm-hmm.
Devastating a little bit. But yeah, and then we get the same choice again on that rooftop if you're doing the life or the death option. So it
Yeah.
doesn't change a whole bunch there.
No, you just basically see like a little bit of an autopsy, a cremated, Joker, which always reminds me of the beginning of Arkham Knight. And then when you restart New Game Plus in Arkham Knight, and you get the jump scare in the very beginning of Joker jumping out at you when you have to cremate his body. Great touch in that game. But yeah, there's not too much in there, so it's a cool thing. Like, but you still get the same endings of like, hey, do I kill the Batman Azor and R? Or do I save the Batman Azor and R? It doesn't change much. But the next option is after Batman
this is,
saves
like,
Robin. Yeah,
like,
the initial.
That was like part A of the whole Batman saves Robin, and then there's a part B of Batman saves Robin.
And that's
choices.
Yep, and that's the choice to kill Joker from jump. So you either again catch Joker, kill Joker. If you pick kill Joker, you get to see Jason at the Batcave, and everyone is touching base with him. Superman's there constantly checking in on him. Alfred's checking in on him.
It went Superman, Wonder Woman, Nightwing, Flash, and then Dick comes back again.
And he has a different drink every time. He has like his like boba tea the second time he shows up, and he gets really annoyed that Dick is like always there.
Right.
Yeah. I do like that Diana sees
talking
him.
about how like, sorry, at the very beginning of that scene, he's talking about how like Alfred's talking to him or whatever, and he lies to Alfred about his intentions. He's like, I'm working with them, and they think it's to help them find the Joker, but really I'm just like finding him to kill him. And I'm like, bold choice to lie to Alfred's face. Like that's not gonna work out well for you.
Dick and Barbara is one thing. Alfred, that one hurts.
Mm-hmm.
And as I mentioned, I do love that Diana stops by because that is canonically his favorite Justice League member. He loves where Dick loves,
too.
Superman. He loves Diana. So it is really, and then Tim, of course, loves Bruce, which is stupid. But that's what you get in the first three Robins.
Catching so many strays
for no reason. I love Tim Drake. He's literally the best Robin.
Get into how much we love Tim Drake.
Literally 2 seconds, yeah. So then at that point, you're at a diner.
He goes to a diner.
Yeah.
Very similar to the diner that you saw talking to Soups, which confused me a little bit because I was like, this is not the diner I remember.
Is it not the same diner?
About this fucking movie. It's the same diner.
Yeah. Also, it might be the same diner from Arkham Knight, actually, thinking about it.
Yeah, probably, actually, now I think about it.
Now that starts all the same way.
They shoot up.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But go ahead. Yeah.
But yeah, no. So the thing about that one was like the whole movie. Because I saved the Robin dies option for the very end. I was like, I don't remember any of this. Where's the fucking diner scene? Where's Clark? So we got to a diner scene, and I was like, is this it? No, 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 it's not. He
Yeah.
sits down next to this guy who starts monologuing about how this isn't the real Batman. I bet it's Nightwing. Like, that's not how I remember the
Conspiracy theorist
Batman.
Jack Napier.
Yeah,
Basically, yeah.
exactly. It's conspiracy theorist Jack Napier. And then he starts retelling the joke that he told when he shot Barbara.
At the end of the Killing Joke, yeah.
And so then Jason like starts to see the transcript of like
That case
Bruce's
file, yeah.
interaction with
Mhm.
him and starts like putting the pieces together and just grabs the butter knife and stabs it right through the eye.
You see a fucking butter knife, and it goes like it's like this much of the butter knife is in there, like that much of the butter knife of the handle is sticking out of his eye. It's in. That's the thing that fucking kills him. And you see, I think Joker. You see, it's almost like Jack Napier in the 1989 Batman, where you see like some of the real, makeup falling off, so you
Yeah,
see the white skin coming through.
the skin
Mhm.
colored,
Yeah.
gets like wiped off, and then it's like the white skin underneath.
I
And then
love
the
that
like,
scene, by the way, because I've seen the clip of that scene.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah,
it's beautiful because it draws a lot on like comic book Joker, right?
Mhm.
One of them being I think Jason stabs him personally the moment he realizes that Joker came back, right?
Yeah,
Like
'cause he had a chance to
he
leave.
is a normal person in
Mhm.
that scene. Right, he's sane because without Batman, he really doesn't have anything to live for. Joker can't exist without Batman existing, right? But a Batman surrogate would bring back the Joker, and when Joker realizes, oh shit, this is the Boy Wonder right here, the Joker kind of comes back for a split second before he gets stabbed, and I think that's
Yeah.
personally, in my head, that's why Jason does what he does. He's like, fuck it, I'm nipping at the bud right here, right now.
Yeah, and that
Um,
initial like him like kind of quitting being Joker kind of reminded me to a certain degree. This is a little more serious, of course, but I'm surprised we haven't talked about him more on this. But Greg Miller and Gary Whitta's little Joker 80th comic, they did for the 80th anniversary where Batman dies and Alfred tells everyone he's Bruce Wayne, all this stuff, and Joker just quits. He's like,
yeah,
I don't know what to do. How do I torture people?
I
And
don't have anything else.
yeah, he does the the DHS or whatever. Not DHS, I'm sorry, DMV. Which is a funny little gag at the end of that. But yeah, he truly like doesn't know what to do without Batman. So like that I thought was a cool touch in this. And I do love Jason gives him a clue before he dies too. Like he says the same quote that Joker does when he's leaving the complex of Bosnia, which I was like, oh shit, that's such a good touch. It is a really solid beginning to what we get ending wise. And so at that point, cops show up, which one is Nolan North, and that's why I was thinking about that initially. And you have the choice to either surrender to the police or attack the police. If you surrender,
I want to talk about this one.
Oh, you want to talk about
I
it? Oh
think
yeah.
this might be my favorite like ending.
Oh,
Is
interesting. Okay.
this scene. I think it's really fun. So
Okay.
if you choose to surrender to the cops, you get put in prison. And then Jason has this really beautiful monologue and he's talking about like all this stuff. And then he becomes jailbird. And so you see the like flash and he has like all the cool tattoos and he's at the bars. And I just
He has
thought
a
that was
bat
really
in this
fun.
hand and a robin in this hand. So he's just Batman and Robin. He's all scarred up. I was like, oh, he basically became Rorschach in that one section of Watchmen. Like, you're stuck in here with me. I'm not stuck in here with you.
Yeah. I do want to mention that, like, that's him surrendering to the cops after killing the Joker is what Bruce would have done, by the way.
Yeah,
because Bruce has done that, right? In Injustice, when Bruce kills the Joker in like that alternate timeline, immediately he goes to jail and he's just like, yeah, I gotta, I'm a criminal now, and I have if I'm not gonna be a hypocrite, I have to, do the time.
Yeah,
and I kind of like that like Jason would like give himself up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're very
I
much
think that's
parallels
part of
when you think
the
about
thing
it.
I love so much about it. It's because like he is so similar to Bruce, and to see that, and I just love like also I think like if you are playing in this universe, like what if Robin lives? I think this is like the most fun like extreme option of
Mm-hmm.
where he ends up. And the next one is fun too, but like something about like getting to that ending, I was like, okay, like
Yeah.
I'm satisfied with the experience I've had with this interactive movie, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this
Um,
is where everything starts to get fun because the initial like life or death with Zorinar, that's a little fun to a certain degree, but when the other option just gives you the same ending, they're like, oh, this sucks.
Yeah.
This you get a little variety at, which is nice. The other option is to attack, where he just beats up the cops and he just like knocks them the fuck out and stuff, and then he becomes Red Robin, which is awesome, like a gun-toting
Shout
Red
out to the
Robin.
gargoyles in that scene as he's
Yes,
escaping. I love a
yeah,
good gargoyle.
great.
Mhm.
No, it was so awesome, and it just shows too to see him move around in that suit. God, the Red Robin suit, the initial Red Robin suit, not the shitty New 52 one, is so fucking good, man. It's such an iconic suit, man. Alex Ross, man, what a fucking talent that man is.
Alex Ross got the best like variations of like superhero costumes. Like his version of Spider-Man is still one of my favorite.
Yeah, and it eventually becomes fucking Superior Spider-Man, which is nice. It was like the
Mhm.
basis for that. So yeah, you get him. Basically becomes like uber vigilante. And he's like Punisher basically. So instead of Red Hood, he becomes Red Robin because he kills. He kills
This is where
Cheetah.
you get the Sionis decapitation.
Yes. Okay. So
This
yeah,
ending.
he actively kills Cheetah as we saw in the previous like alternate timeline, but this time Dick is Batman. So they use the same scene, like same animation. Instead of Bruce though flying after him, it's Dick Grayson flying after him because it's a different Batsuit. Um, and then you get to he kills Black Mass, same thing, bazooka to the thing, and how we saw it under the Red Hood, he ducks under the hood of the thing or the door. He doesn't. He turns around at the right moment and it decapitates him. And you just see Sionis's head slide down the door. It's
Mhm.
so gross and amazing. Um, and then he goes after Two Face, who is holding up. He's basically actually, I think this is where Riddler comes in. They show him actively taking out like the rest of the bad guys. So he decapitates Riddler. He kills all these other
This is
people,
where
and he's
Riddler, yeah.
actively at this point going after Two Face because he's going after everyone. And Two Face has what, two like M16s? He's like shooting up this fucking place up. It's like a casino, and he like Jason's doing okay
It's
against
like an
him.
arcade casino, like
Yeah, something
movie,
like that.
something, whatever.
It's probably by the beach. It's probably like Gotham Harbor and stuff like that. I'm thinking Jersey. That's probably where it is. And so he goes after him. He loses his guns. He gets in a predicament where Two Face has a chance to flip the coin. Heads. Was it heads? I kill you. Tails. I scar you for life or something like. I forget what his
Something
initial.
like
Yeah.
that.
Anyway.
But when you flip it, and it lands on the non-scarred version, the heads version, that one was the decision of like I sentence you to death. And so he goes to like shoot Jason or whatever, and then Harvey gets fucking tasered by this fucking Batman ass looking kid. Uh,
Yep.
and then Jason goes to like shoot Harvey, and this Tim Drake looking motherfucker is like, don't do it. Like you can be rehabilitated. Like if you like shoot him, like we can't trust you. Blah blah blah. But like
Basically say anything
you can
like
do this. Yeah.
Bruce did, yeah, without ever meeting Bruce. So like it hits Jason really hard. And the fact that Tim
Yeah.
Drake actually actively has a gun pointed at Jason's head. Like
Yeah.
little
He
kid Tim
picks up
Drake
Jason's
has
gun.
and points it at him, like not knowing what the fuck he's gonna do. He's like, if I have to, man, I will. But everyone can be rehabilitated, and he
I'll put you
tries.
down, man.
Yeah,
But he basically like reiterates the same exact thing that Bruce says in his like dying monologue to Jason. So Jason's having like these flashbacks to Bruce saying the same things.
hmm
Um and then it ends with like him being like, yeah, okay, whatever. And
Yeah, okay,
then
dude, I'll stop.
adopting Tim Drake because he cannot escape his father's curse of adopting children.
Yep.
And then Tim becomes Bat Kid, which is a choice.
It's such a stupid costume. Just make him Robin. Just make him like Robin specifically. Because at this point, if you think about it, Dick is Batman. That's why I said this was corny.
Yeah.
Because in my notes, it's like Batkid, ... Wow, that's corny. Because you have Dick Grayson as Batman in this timeline. And now you have Jason as Red Robin. So just make him Robin. Just make him
Yeah.
like a
The
traditional
idea
Robin at that sense.
was because he was saying all the same things Batman was saying, they
Sure.
really wanted to hit home like those parallels.
If anyone's gonna
so
be
he
Batman, it
becomes
should be
a-
Tim. Yeah, honestly, and
Right,
maybe
right, yeah.
the understanding is, I guess, Red Robin, and they even say Red Robin is no longer killing. Like the news reports are talking about
Mhm.
that. Like he is serving justice, but not killing anymore. He's trying to really, but that fucking word again. He's trying to,
That fucking
Thank-
word, man.
yeah, he's trying to help himself. So maybe under the understanding, maybe Dick goes back to Bloodhaven and becomes Nightwing again because he doesn't want anything with that mantle. You know that he hates
No.
the idea of the
Yeah,
mantle.
he hates that shit.
Something
He hates that Batman shit.
it kills him inside a little bit every
Yeah.
time. He
Unless you're
has to
Frank
put on
Miller.
that cowl.
Unless you're Frank Miller. That's the only time I think Dick Grayson's actually liked being Batman.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Am I thinking of the right one? That's the one with him and Damien, right? Or am I thinking? I don't think that
Oh
was Frank Miller.
no. That was Grant Morrison, but that was canon.
Grant Morrison.
Yeah,
There you
that
go.
was
There you
canon,
go.
and that was fine. Yeah, because
Yeah.
Bruce was truly
Yeah,
gone for what they
That was-
thought was for a little bit. He's like, nah, I'm good now, and I got a good Robin, and
Yeah,
that's,
he was truly like in the bat. He was like, I like this Batman shit. He was wearing that shit. He had
Yeah.
that shit on.
and he tailored it to himself too, which is one of my favorite things. Funny enough, writer on Under the Red Hood and who brought Jason back, Judd Winnick, wrote the main Batman series at that time, and one of the great storylines is Two-Face knowing that that's not Bruce because he's smiling. Batman is actively smiling when he's taking people down, so that is a fun little thing with that. Now the other option is if it goes tails. You could choose tails, and the ending plays out, and Two-Face just basically bitches out Jason, and it's a great ending. I think. Don't get me
You
wrong.
know, son of Batman.
He literally says, I can't kill what's already dead inside.
Oh, that's tough. That's tough, Jason.
And Jason's just left there like, God damn.
Jason's like, what the
That
fuck,
would be
Harvey?
like mercy for you. Like there is nothing I could do to you worse than what like you already are inside.
Yeah, you basically killed his legacy. You have to live with that asshole. And he just walks his way, and then Jason's like, okay. And
Jason's like, man, fuck you.
turns himself into Dick and is like, I'm trying to work on myself. I was like, he fucking turned him good. Like, wow, Two-Face. You bitched him out so hard that he turned good. God damn.
Harvey looked at Jason and was like, you changed, bro.
He really
Jason's
did.
like, fuck, you're right.
Yeah, he's like, fuck, man. God damn it. All right. But yeah, that is
That
basically
one was pretty iconic too.
yeah, that is basically death in the family. I did write it in the beginning. I was like, God damn it, Sly, you're lucky I love you because I bought this fucking film. Thank God it was on sale too. I think it was like $13. I did have more fun with the Batman dies. Oh no, Batman lives. Well, no. It was which one? This is the him dying, right? Yeah, Batman saves him, and then it's the kill the Joker
Robin
timeline.
cheats death, or the Batman saves Robin, where he
Yeah.
dies.
Yeah, it's like that one. Yeah. And then you inside of killing the Joker from Jump, where you get like the Justice League helping, and you get the Red Robin. That was one of my
that's a
favorite
good
things
one.
in this. Yeah, and then or the Jailbird one, which was also really fun. That's a good part of this movie, I will say. So yeah, that's Death in the Family. Now we're gonna move on to one of my favorite segments because we're getting a little long in the tooth, but obviously we're covering 2 movies. This is gonna be a preview to when we cover all 3 Watchmen movies. That's gonna be a long ass episode. We are jumping into drama class and one of my favorite holdovers for MC University. We have only one scene because it is the most pivotal scene, and I honestly think one of the best acted scenes we've gotten in anything, whether it be animated or live action, in DC media. I will say it is up there with some of the most iconic moments that we've seen, and this is one of them.
We do have 3 characters.
We do.
We all get to play a part.
I'm gonna be a good host. Who wants Joker?
I'll take Joker. I'll take
Okay.
Joker.
Sly?
Joker? Okay.
You want Batman
Well,
or Jason?
then I'm taking Jason.
All right. Okay, I'll take Batman. I don't want to fight you.
All evidence to the contrary.
Please, I can help you. I know what happened.
Oh, you got talking with Raish, huh? Does it make it easier for you to think that my dip in his fountain of youth turned me rabid? Or is this just the real me? Tell me, what bothers you more? That your greatest failure has returned from the grave? Or that I've become a better Batman than you?
You're ruling through intimidation and murder. Just another criminal.
I'm what the city needs. Hidden goodies all over, huh? We're both just a couple of walking armories.
Maybe so, but see what you do without your toys. Enough. It's over. You say you want to be better than me, but it won't happen. Not like this. I know I failed you, but I tried to save you, Jason. I'm trying to save you now.
Is that you think this is? You letting me die? I don't know what clouds your judgment worse, your guilt or your antiquated sense of morality. Bruce, I forgive you for not saving me. But why? Why on God's green earth? Is he still alive?
Gotta give the boy points. He came all the way back from the dead to make this shindig happen. So who's got a camera? Ooh, get me one and the kid first, and then you and me, and then the 3 of us, and then one with the crowbar.
It'll be quiet as possible, or I'll put one in your lap first.
Oh, party pooper. No cake for you.
Ignoring what he's done in the past, blindly, stupidly disregarding the entire graveyards he's filled, the thousands who have suffered, the friends he's crippled. You know, I thought I'd be the last person you ever let him hurt. If it had been you that he beat bloody to a pulp, if he had taken you from this world, I would have done nothing but search the planet for this pathetic pile of evil, death-worshipping garbage, and then send him off to hell.
You don't understand. I don't think you ever understood.
What? That your moral code just won't allow for that? Is it too hard to cross that line?
No. God almighty, no. It'd be too damned easy. All I've ever wanted to do is kill him. A day doesn't go by that I don't think about subjecting him to every horrendous torture he's dealt to others and then end him.
Aw, so you do think about me.
But if I do that, if I allow myself to go down that place, I'll never come back.
I'm not talking about killing Penguin or Scarecrow or Dent. I'm talking about him. Just him. And doing it because he took me away from you.
I can't. I'm sorry.
That is so sweet. Wow. Wow.
There's a lot of great moments in there, but one of my favorite lines of that entire thing is that, aw, so you do think about me.
Yep, exactly. Man, I've alluded it since season 1, man, but honestly, this one line right here, like, why? I'm not talking about killing Penguin or Scarecrow or Den. I'm talking about him, just him, and doing it because he took me away from you. And you hear his voice crack. For a split second, Jensen's voice cracks. I'm like, fuck. Jesus Christ, man. It gets you every fucking time. What a great fucking line. What a great delivery. Just all around kudos, man. And the rest of the movie is fucking phenomenal, mind you. Like, this is just the fucking, like, cherry on top of what is already an amazing goddamn film. Again, better than most fucking... This is why we do DC Graduates, right? Because a lot of these movies happen to be better than live action movies, and they should get equal shout outs that other movies get. Like, am I excited for James Gunn's Superman after seeing that trailer? Hell yeah. Am I excited, after seeing a little bit of Creature Commandos? Hell yeah. I'm excited for this new universe. But, like, let's not... And James Gunn would probably be one of the first people like, yo, Under the Red Hood, fucking really good. He's like, these movies are good. They shouldn't be discounted because they're animated. Like, this is that fucking good.
Yeah.
But God,
It's a
damn.
shame that that DC didn't pay more attention to the Bat family when it came to like animated and stuff like that, because there was so much potential there for Jason, for Nightwing, for Stephanie Brown, Batgirl, Batwoman. You know what I mean? Like all these different characters within that family that have their own kind of traumas that
Give
got
me
them
a cast
into.
movie.
Oh my
Why
God,
not?
man.
Why
Yeah.
is why is there only one Red Hood movie? Why is there no Nightwing movie? Why is there no Cassandra Cain movie? You know, like stuff like that. Like
Mhm.
what? It's weird how that like there's just this gray area of like it has to be a Batman thing with like them showing up in it. It's like you have all this gold right here, and under the Red Hood is like a piece of that what could have been, right? Like we
Yeah.
could have more. We could have more like this. There are so many good scenes that these characters have. It's just, you know, I guess because they're just not as recognizable. It's like, it
It's a damn
sucks, but
shame too. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Batman has to be like the crux of the movie, and then the Bat family happens to be there. And I know with the AU, we're gonna get to. There's a lot of that. You know, there's a lot of those
Mhm.
like movies like that happen to be like that. Which it sucks. It's are we getting these Bat family members? Yes, but like at what cost? Like we're not getting them fully fleshed out like the way we want to. I think there's maybe like one Titans movie in the AU universe. Like, and
Mhm.
even then, I'm sure maybe Batman's in the background for some fucking reason because they can't get rid of him. Like, he's like, oh, he's the moneymaker. It's like, is he though? Like, mind you, I love Batman, but like, like Frank's right. Like, there's so many other stories that are just amazing. The most recent Titans run would be great for animated movies. The most recent like Nightwing run, Tom Taylor's run would be amazing for animated. Why don't we have more Supergirl movies, just specifically about Supergirl? Why don't we have more Wonder Woman movies? Green Lantern movies, like things like that. Like I know we're gonna get those. Don't get me wrong. We're getting them down the line in the Tomorrowverse and things like that. But like, why not more than just these one-offs or two, or little things here and there? Like there's so many Batman movies. And then even less so, but still a lot. So many Superman movies. Like I love Superman, as just as much as like Mario and all these other Aaron Roots and all these other people on the internet who are reacting to the Superman trailer and Greg Miller and all this stuff. I had a whole hour podcast where me and Greg talked about how much we love Superman, but like I want some more diversity. There are other
Right.
House of L characters. There are other, and when it's not something like that, it's like, oh, you know what we should do? Let's focus on the Suicide Squad. Like, fucking why? Like, I get it, but why is there so many Suicide Squad movies?
Little over Suicide Squad. I
Yeah.
bet it's
Yeah.
edgy and fun. But yeah, I always say like my least favorite Bat family character is Batman. Like
Yeah.
he's amazing and he like shapes this world and creates such a rich world to play in, and he's so necessary and integral. But I want to hear about all the stories around him that surround that are reacting to him as a figure. That's where all that juicy angst is,
As growing up, man, I was always a fan of Dick Grayson so much. Yeah, I got the I have a Nightwing tattoo. I love Jason. I love Stephanie. I love them more than Bruce, but like Bruce is the thing that gets you into comics, right? And then you start reading like, oh, this Dick Grayson guy is really cool. Or reading Flash. I remember reading Flash as a kid, like really long back issues. And we're like, oh, okay, Barry's okay, but like Wally is pretty fun. And then Wally becoming Flash and like let these characters grow up. Like, listen, Roy's a better Arrow than Ollie. I like Ollie. Don't get me wrong;
Mhm.
he's
Lovely.
fun. But like
I don't like Ollie.
there's so
I
much
do
angst
love Roy
there.
Harper.
Yeah, there's so much stuff there, so much juicy stuff that they give these side, quote unquote sidekicks, and seeing them age up and what DC has done for the most part, comics wise, pretty good, for a lot of times, they do missteps here and there, but
yeah, they got some good moments, especially with Jason,
Yeah.
Jason and Bruce. There's one that I think back on after Arsenal dies in the DCU.
Yeah.
They have because there's this huge event where like a bunch of these heroes who have been like therapy just go
Sanctuary,
dead
yeah.
and
Like Heroes in Crisis.
they wind up
Heroes
dying.
in Crisis. Another one.
I have all those issues. Honestly, amazing art in there.
Yeah.
Kind of a weird story, but amazing art. But afterward, they Bruce and Red Hood have a moment where they just both of them together they're just eating a burger and they're just kind of talking out all their issues and stuff like that. And Jason just basically kind of goes like why do you hate me kind of talk, right? And Batman goes, no, I don't hate you, dude. Like, I'm so goddamn proud of you of like who you become and stuff like that. And they kind of just go their separate ways. But like they have these cathartic moments in the comic books, and I would love to see them animated, but we're not doing it for some reason. God damn it.
I don't think I could watch a sanctuary movie. That might destroy me.
Heroes in Crisis animated might actually kill a lot of people because a lot of good heroes do die in that.
And then the
most of them
perpetrator
come back
behind
though.
it was,
I think,
rough too, as someone who would just anyway.
Spoilers. Okay, anyways.
All right, moving on to one of our final sections. We got quiz time. I have a very interesting question. There's a lot of context clues. I don't know if you guys are both young, so this is difficult for me. I'm gonna date myself with this one, but hopefully you guys might get the context clues. So Judd Winnick, the writer of this movie and the comic that's based on, was part of what 90s MTV show?
well, I'm gonna say Beavis and Butthead. I could be wrong on that though.
I have to
Sounds
be
familiar.
honest with you, Carlos.
Mm-hmm.
You said MTV show, and the literal only one that can enter my brain right now is Teen Wolf, and I know that's very wrong.
Oh, yeah, it's very wrong. Yeah. The answer is,
I'm like, I can't name a single other MTV show.
Real World. He was a cast member on one of the early seasons of the Real World, where he actually met his lifelong love and now wife, Pam, on the show, and then became really good friends. This is a very interesting season. This is the one where, if you ever hear controversies behind Real World and stuff, this is the one where there was a gentleman named Puck who got, I think he spit on some girl's face or something while they were living there, and he got kicked out. And this also had someone who was and then this might be season 2, where there was a openly gay man at the time, which was crazy for the 90s, and he was at the time battling AIDS as well. And a lot of the cast members ended up becoming actually really close. This is when it wasn't like sensationalized TV. So like the fact that Puck like spit on this girl was, I don't think, like hey, the producer be like, hey, you should probably spit on her face. Like this is like when reality TV was reality to a certain extent. But Pedro, I'm sorry, was the name of the gentleman who had AIDS, and he was one of the first real representations of man of the LGBTQ community dealing with this, especially in the early 90s, where there was so much fear mongering at that time. And Judd was and Pam were one of their best friends. They followed each other the whole time, and Judd was there when he passed away, unfortunately, and wrote a really good book called Pedro and Me, which I highly recommend. It's a really good series. But also now he does comic books, which is awesome. So he brought, Jason back, and it was really cool because I remember, as a fan of early 90s reality TV and watching, like, I've definitely watched reruns of that season and then being like, Judd, why does Judd Winnick sound so familiar? Like reading these comic books, I'm like, had to look it up one day. I was like, holy shit, it's Judd from the thing. I remember running to Tara. I was like, you remember Judd from Real World? She's like, yeah, he wrote this. Look, he brought Jason Todd back. You're like, who the fuck is Jason Todd? I'm like, God damn it.
God damn
it. We've gone long in the tooth, but I mean, final thoughts for Homeroom. We'll start with Frank. What's your final thoughts on both movies? Let's say that.
Yeah. I guess you only really need to buy one of them, because I think under like the Death in the Family has just Under the Red Hood if you wanted to watch all the way through it. So easy way to watch both of them.
Just no Jensen Ackles.
I love.
You don't get the full context.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
Yeah, it's a little. Yeah. Yeah, I love Under the Red Hood. Under the Red Hood got me into Jason Todd. It got me into back into comic books. It's a very special movie. It's definitely one of those outliers in the DC animated universe of like kind of everything going right. It takes a story that almost nobody knows, makes it a lot more mainstream, but does it in a way that isn't like how most adaptations like to do it, where it's like, hey, we're going to change it so much that it's almost a pale image of what it's representing. they kind of just said, fuck it, we're just going to adapt the comic book. We're going to take a few changes out here and there, but they're not changes that like change the whole thing. It's a faithful adaptation of the comic book, and it works. And it not only works in like a movie sense and an animated sense and in a story sense. They got like a A-list cast of actors and actresses who's just like kill the role in this thing, like absolutely slaughter it. Nobody here does a bad job at it. Even down to the animation itself is really good. It is one of those like rare adaptations that is just so faithful and it works so well. I highly recommend it to anybody who wants to get into the characters and watch it. I recommend it's usually to anybody who like, hey, you want to watch something Batman related? Bam! You don't really have to know anything going into the movie. You could just watch it by itself and get the gist of everything that's going on. It really is like, to me, one of the most perfect animated movies of all time.
Sly, final thoughts?
Yeah, I think it may be one of my favorite movies on this list that we're ever gonna cover. Like, I love Batman Superman World's Finest. Like that has such nostalgia to me, right? To a very young age. I really enjoy that movie, but this is just so incredibly good. Like Frank mentioned, the art is incredible, the writing is incredible, the voice acting is a superb job the entire way through, and everything about this is so good at being a contained story and telling a really emotional story arc that makes you ask questions and wonder and engage with the story on a fundamental level. As you can tell, we spent a long time talking about this movie, and I think it gives you everything you want out of interrogating, like, what does it mean to tell a Batman story? And they does it in such a beautiful job. I do really love the 1-2 punch. If you're gonna watch this, watch, Killing Joke right before, and then watch Under the Red Hood. I feel like they go really well together. They obviously have some continuity flowing through them, and just like, if somehow you've gotten to the end of this and have not watched this movie already, uh, kudos to you, but like, stop everything you're doing,
Yeah,
stop the
watch this
car,
fucking movie.
search
Yeah.
this movie on your phone and start watching it. Like, drop your entire life to watch this movie. It's that good.
Yeah.
It's perfection. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, go look up Jensen Ackles' Red Hood and tell me this movie isn't cash.
Yeah, exactly. Honestly, and even just like any little things you can find on this, it's amazing. And Frank, you mentioned and Sly as well. How A-list this voice cast is, and I haven't got a chance to give him his proper due. He's one of my favorite Batman voices in this, other than Kevin Conroy. Bruce Greenwood is absolutely amazing as Batman in this. He has an emotional range similar to Conroy that we get. And he's not something, because he's typically, we see Bruce Greenwood in a lot of TV. He's obviously in the J.J. Abrams verse, or the Kelvin verse is called, of Star Wars. I'm sorry, Star Trek. Jesus Christ, somebody's gonna kill me on the internet now because I fucked that up. God, I just ruined everything for the show. So many death threats. You thought Woke in Progress is bad. Wait till the comments on this one. Jesus. But he plays Captain Pike in that. We see him in a lot of live action things, but he is so absolutely amazing as Bruce and Batman in this. And then, so much so that he gets to reprise his role in, Young Justice as Batman, and he does so good in that as well. Just very underrated when it comes to Batman voice actors. And him going alongside Jensen is great. John DiMaggio does an incredible Joker. Neil Patrick Harris, we did the whole NPA trick, but honestly, he's great as Dick Grayson, and Jason Isaac as Roz is just so really good. This is, I think, easily one of my favorite animated movies. This sealed my love for Jason, and just the concept of Robins in general, like all the Robins. Like, I have such an affinity for them all, including Stephanie, because she never gets her due, and they always forget about her. And I luckily, one of my best friends, we joke around that he's Jason and I'm Dick. We love each other. I texted him earlier because I owned this on Blu-ray, but I was like, you know what? Let me buy it on streaming, just so like, especially with how busy I've been lately. If I have like a little time, somewhere else that I'm supposed to be doing work, maybe I can watch this, And then anytime I want to watch this, look, it's just I have it on my phone, I have it on my TV, I have it everywhere. But we share a Google account, so it's on his account now. I was like, oh hey, by the way, I bought Under the Red Hood, so you now own it. He's like, yes, fuck yeah. I was like, I'm watching that at work tonight, and we both seen this movie like a million times, and so it's just cool. That's how much I love this movie. I'll buy it over and over and over again. This is a phenomenal film, and we're really lucky to have this kind of piece of media when it comes to, in general, just animation, and then let alone with DC stuff. Like, it's just really good. But yeah, that is our episode. Before we leave, we got a little homework for everyone, our listeners and viewers out there. Your next watch is Justice League Crisis on Two Earths, which I believe, where is that? Oh shit, I don't even know. Is that on anything? Do we know? It's top
I have no idea. We'll find out next week.
Yeah, we'll find out next week, and then you hear earlier in the episode, we'll tell you. Maybe it's on Tubi. Tubi has a lot of random shit on there. All right, and before we get off this episode, of course, let's go around the horn. Sly, where can people find you?
Find me everywhere on the internet at CycloneMC. You can catch me on Point in Progress doing things there, and also hosting Served Up Sundays with JJ over on We'll Throw the After Party.
Nice. Frank, where can people find you?
You can find me here at Point in Progress, where I hang out with Harv and we play Metal Gear Solid with Mario. Metal Gear Solid is rolling out last few episodes, so go check that out. You can find me on Carlos's channel with Chaos Bringers when eventually we bring that back. I forgot what game we're on. I think we're on 4 or 5. Final Fantasy 5, yeah. I have finished 6 and 7, so I'm ready when you are on that one. And then, of course, you can find me on TikTok and YouTube at the Frank GV, where I post my freak nasty clips straight to your eye holes.
Good. And as for me, your doctor recommended dose of nerdiness, aka your nerd today, Carlos Rodriguez. You can find me here, Point of Progress, where we, me and Sly host DC Graduates, where we prove to you that DC movies can be good as long as they're animated, especially something like this, Under the Red Hood. But as well, you can find me with my Remedy playthrough series. It's not a loop, it's a spiral. By the time this releases, all of season 1 should be released, and that's 2 games. We have Alan Wake Remastered and Alan Wake American Nightmare all in season 1. And then hopefully at this time, when this releases, it's not a loop, it's a Quantum Break. This is the official, if it's not out, this is the official me telling you it's coming out. That is season 2 of the show, where we play through Quantum Break on the next game in the Remedyverse series. And as well, our game of the year should be out around this time. I'm thinking about it. Yeah, it should be either this week or the week after. Yeah, this might post the week after, because that week is just all game of the year. So watch all of us talk about our games of the year, and that's gonna be fun. So till next time, class is dismissed.
Me siento Bruce Wayne porque en el Lambo ya me han visto. En las noches como un vampiro. En las noches como un vampiro. Pa' que sepan, viejo, que no andamos con mamada, viejo. Pura doble plena. Cadena de fuera me he visto de negro, ya no quieren verme como un superhéroe. Primero te aman y luego te odian, deseando lo peor, envidia y la muerte sigo.